Welcome to Talkaoke, the table of conversation, the table of chats. You know what? Let's get around the names. What's your name?
Lucia.
Lucia. Let me turn this up just a little bit. Lucia.
1 2 1 2.
Oh, that's me. Okay, yeah, Lucia, wonderful.
I'm Margot.
Margot.
Mikey.
Mikey, I'm Elam. Welcome to Talkaoke. Lucia, you were telling us about what you've been doing with Camden recently. I mean, what work is it that you've been doing with Camden over these last couple of weeks, months, years?
Years, I would say.
Okay.
4 or 5 years. Yeah. So I've been following the changes that have been happening in Camden. And yeah, there's been a lot of regeneration, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah.
What would you call it?
Yeah, I mean, just this is a very central place,
Yeah.
right? So really expensive real estate, so prime location. So things change all the time, and you know, people are, and HS2 and Euston Station has been in sort of flux for a long time. So
I mean, what are people saying about the changes? Are people in Camden calling it regeneration? What are people naming this change? What does this change actually look like? Is it, buildings being knocked down? What are some of the changes?
Well, I think you have to talk to the local people more than me, but from what I've observed, some places where people live have been knocked down and they've had to move. So some very, very old estates have changed a lot and have been knocked down. So
where are you local to?
I'm local to Hackney, so I live in Hackney.
Oh, you live in Hackney.
So,
okay. I mean, you've been working in Camden for quite some years.
Yes.
How does Hackney compare to Camden?
Well, I think because Camden is so near to central London, it's I think there's more concentrated, I guess.
Okay.
Less parks, more
concentrated. Oh, so there's less parks in Camden.
I would say so.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Welcome. We've got Lucy, we've got Margot, we've got, what's your name? Jameson. Rebecca. Mikey, did you go to Universidad de Salamanca? Oh, your auntie. Okay, so you're just representing the university. Cool, man. Cool. I mean, are you guys from this area? Are you from the university? Are you from Salamanca? Like, where are you guys from? What are you doing here? We just heard from Lucia. She was just telling us about, she's been working with Camden for the last couple of years. It's gone through a lot of changes. She's been documenting that quite a bit. Where are you guys from?
I live in Camden, but my mum's from a different country, same my dad.
Where is your mum from?
She's from Spain.
Spain, okay. Whereabouts are you from?
Yeah, I lived in Camden all my life, and I've just seen loads of changes and stuff, and it's been interesting to watch.
What kind of changes have you seen?
Social changes in more events, stuff like that, becoming more of a credible area.
Okay.
And becoming a nicer place to be.
Okay. I mean, what makes an area a nicer place to be, in your opinion?
Safe, a well-rounded community, lots of diversity, stuff like that.
Yeah. So, well-rounded community. I mean, so remind me of your name again? Rebecca. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Jameson here? Okay, so what does a well-rounded community look like? What does it feel like, smell like? What are you seeing? What are you doing?
I feel like it's where you're comfortable where you are. You feel free to express yourself in terms of ethnicity, or sexual orientation, stuff like that.
Okay, then.
And how the community can come together to celebrate that.
Mm-hmm. So was there a time when Camden wasn't open to different sexualities, different races?
I mean, I think it's an ongoing thing. I don't know Camden so well. For me, Camden's always been a place to go, to go to the pub or a bar or see some music. But certainly, I think London as a whole has become more open-minded, for sure, I think.
Okay. And so, how long have you lived in London for?
Me, I've lived in London since 1994. So that's 28 years.
28. Give us some examples of something that you've seen that made you think, hey, wow, London is so much more open-minded now. Any experiences that you had back in the 90s that just wouldn't happen now?
Yeah, I think there was definitely more racism back in the 90s, but also, as you mentioned, Rebecca, about like I think attitudes to gender and sexuality have improved, and it's just things like this might seem a bit weird to you, but like the football game. I don't know. We got some interference from somewhere. I don't know, but I'll sort that out.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
All right,
but the women's football, like everyone got behind that, and I just feel that actually, I think we're coming. We used to be life used to be much more male dominated.
Right.
I think, and it still is, but less so.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about maybe life coming a bit less male dominated? How do we feel about that? I saw the lady at the table there turn around when we mentioned women's football. I mean, who watched the women's football? Who watched it? What where was it? What happened? Margot?
I haven't watched it, but I'm just so out of touch with football just in general, male or female, is that my friend was texting me saying like, oh my God, there's 82k people watching this game. And I knew there was something football related happening. I was like, yeah, whatever. And so, it's a big day for women. I'm like, why is it a big day for women? And then I realized that, maybe I've had some kind of like inner sexism. I just assumed that he meant male football.
Right,
So no, it's a female football. And I was like, oh shit, okay.
I mean, how do you feel
myself out?
How do you feel about the fact that he messaged you as a woman?
I mean,
I think you because you're a woman, and he felt like you should be watching.
Yeah, maybe, but also I think there's an assumption if something's like televised, if 82k people are watching something or doing something, then surely we should all get on board, and I don't necessarily agree.
Right. Okay. Then, so you're saying just because it was was it an important day for women? 82,000 people are watching it. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean for me? What does that mean for you? I mean, what do you think about the women's football match? Do you think that was a big deal for women in London? You're nodding your head.
I feel like it was a very important day, especially the fact we won. And then there's a couple of comments saying the women brought it home, but the men couldn't. So
okay then.
It's still inviting sex against sex kind of.
Right. All right. So there's this competition saying, it took the women to bring the cup home, so all right. So you're saying it's a good, I mean, what does this mean for women's football, women's sports? Did you watch the match?
I personally didn't watch the match, but I do think women's sports should get more of a shine on it, because I mean, in my own personal experience, I've only been exposed to male sports. Not saying that's a fault on my own upbringing, but I do think that women's sports isn't televised enough and isn't given much attention as the males, such as football.
Okay, so we need to televise women's sports more. Yeah? What kind of sports? I mean, did you watch the football match? We're talking about Camden. Has Camden changed quite a bit over the years? Buildings have been knocked down. Apparently, according to Jameson, it's so much more safer now. There's so much more of a community vibe now than it was before. People are free to express themselves ethnically, their sexuality. What about women's football? Has that really elevated women's sports? Do we need to be seeing more women running around on TV? What do you think? Tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Hannah, and I think, we need more female representation. I feel like they're doing enough now. There's a memorial on Euston Road as well with the England's women team. So they have a whole memorial dedicated to them, so that kind of shows the spirit and welcomeness and stuff.
Right. So there's have you guys seen the memorial for the women's football team? What are they called? What do you call the England women's team? The Lionesses.
But I just wanted to make a point. Oh, she's going. Oh, you're coming back. Are you going? All right. So give us a final thought.
Let's get a final thought before you leave us.
Final thought. You know what? I love doing this. I must have done this 2 weeks ago.
Oh, fantastic!
And it's proper
Were you hosting?
I was hosting. It's quite difficult. When you look at it, you're like, oh, I can do this, but it's a lot of training that you have to do. But shout out to people in the middle. I tried.
You seem like you'll do fantastic. What's the yellow wristband about?
You know what? Me and these girls just done it for fun because we just saw ribbons. We're like, why not just put them on?
You know what? Actually, earlier Mikey was commenting on the facade of the buildings. Walking around, some of them have a blue design. Some of them have yellow. And he was just saying how actually yellow is so much more warm and inviting than the blue. I don't know. I was drawn to the yellow wristband. Maybe there's something about yellow, you know? What are the uniforms of the Lionesses football team? What colour? What colour is it? Thank you for joining us. Let us know how everything goes. I know you are walking around.
Have a go in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Jump in the middle. Oh, hey, you guys might want to jump in the middle. Oh, maybe not, maybe not. Let's get a final thought from you guys before you leave us.
What, on the Lionesses?
Just on anything you want to leave us with, anything about that stood out for you about the conversation today.
I feel like the talk about Lionesses, it was really good to see everyone's perspective on it.
Yeah. What kind of changes would you like to see in Camden going forward?
Like, especially as someone that's into sports, maybe like an increase on opportunities for female sports.
Yeah.
Because we have like Camden Shield events, but for girls it ends in year 10, but for boys it ends in year 11.
Okay. I mean, what sports do you like to do?
I do most of them in my school, like football, basketball, rounders.
Badminton, hockey?
Yeah. Well, we don't do hockey, I don't think.
Okay, no hockey, volleyball?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely, okay. More sports for women.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's quite unfair that the girls, I guess, sporting careers in education ends earlier than the boys, and I think sports in Camden needs to be more combined, as in not segregated between men and women. It should be collectively, as girls and boys should compete together.
Yeah. So you're saying there's a bit of segregation sometimes when it comes to the playing of the sports, even as children, you know? I'm assuming you are children. Thank you for joining us. I mean, let us know some of the things that you see along the way. We're in the middle of the table, so we can't see what's happening on the other end. Bring back some smoothies. You know, I like banana and spinach. I heard that there's like a bike smoothie thing making session over there. All right, see you soon. All right, Margot.
Yeah, so maybe this is like a really boring subject, but I'm always like interested by it. Like, do women like playing tennis or other sports, do they need to wear tiny, skimpy skirts?
That's a good point.
Does it actually help the skills?
You know, I think it does, because when you play, you want to look cute when you play tennis, right? I mean, I love those cute little skirts. I actually want to buy one myself and like hit a little tennis ball around, you know? All right, but it's not about me. It's about what everyone else thinks. You know what I mean? We got... It was irrelevant or irrelevant. Ah, wonderful. Yeah. So we got Mikey, we got, what's your name? Isabella. We got Lucia. We have Margot. Isabella, we've been talking about Camden. We've been talking about the changes in Camden. Is there enough opportunities for young women or women to play sports, or does it end at 14 in Camden? Is Camden safer now than it used to be? I'm so curious about your necklace. Like, what is that? What's that gem about? What's that necklace about?
It was a gift.
Yeah.
No.
No way. It's the gem. It's giving off a certain vibe.
Cute. I actually don't know what vibe the gem gives off,
Okay.
but like I don't know what gem it is, but I got it for my birthday from my
lovely.
godbrother. So yeah.
Okay.
it's
Oh,
quite
that's
nice.
so sweet. But yeah, any thoughts about any of the topics? What are you doing here today? What would you like to talk about? What are you from, Camden?
Yeah, I live down the road across from Cumberland Market.
Okay.
I work for. I've been volunteering for FYA. I'm in Community Champions. I'm a youth ambassador, and I'm in Girls Club. And other
What does
things.
FYA stand for?
I'm Fitzrovia Youth in Action.
And what kind of things do you do as a volunteer?
Well, as a youth volunteer, there are many opportunities in FIA for youth. Since that's our main goal. But I'm in Youth Ambassadors and I'm in the comms team, so we like to advertise events and give young people opportunities. There's peer mentoring and peer education to educate and mentor young people, you know, give them opportunities for jobs and so on.
I mean, what do you think about, earlier we were talking, somebody around the table, Rachel, I believe, she was saying that, Rebecca, there's not enough opportunities for women when it comes to, or girls when it comes to playing sports. You know, we've just had the win of the Lionesses, the England football team, but how does that translate to the UK, to London, to Camden, you know? I mean, have you seen, working in the youth group, have you seen opportunities for women when it comes to playing sports and stuff like that? Like,
I would agree with the fact that, you know, sports-wise, it's very minimized, the opportunities that there are for women. I know that in places like America, girls sports, girls football or soccer. Girls soccer is very common.
Yeah.
I used to live there, and almost all my friends played football.
Yeah.
As girls, obviously, and there are girls teams and there are boys teams and whatnot, but it's there for them. Rather than here, I feel like there's less of that. There's more boys teams than there are girls teams.
Right. Okay. Then so you're saying there's a bit of an imbalance. I wonder what's difference about what the difference is from America to the UK. I want to find out a little bit about this. Yeah, it's about money. Yeah.
So I think a lot of our experience growing up in the UK, I was probably the only girl on the football team at school when I was younger. But then, it became more common for girls to play football. But then as soon as you became a teenager, that was it. No more football available. So I think this is bringing it to the fore, and young women will think, okay, yeah, I can play football more. But I think it is about money, because if there's no money involved in the sport, you're going to be less likely to want to take it further. So, and there's already a disparity in what the Lionesses got as their reward for winning the match. It's so much less than what the England males. I think they each got 55 grand.
Okay.
Which isn't bad, but compared to what the men get, it's like nothing.
Aye.
How much do men get?
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact figure, but I know it's a crazy amount of money. But
does anyone know how much male football players get when they win?
Yeah, Mikey knows.
Do you know? Mikey?
Well, the top footballers like Lionel Messi gets £200,000 a week. Although having said that, playing for the national team, you get a similar amount, I think, than as the women get. But playing for their clubs, they get insane amounts of money. It comes out as something like €200 a second or something like that.
Oh, blimey.
Something really ridiculous. So, I mean, I don't think it's like the women should get paid as much as the men. I think the men are getting paid a bit too much there.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kicking a ball. It's getting 200 grand a week.
Am I too old to retrain as a footballer?
No, I think you're not too old. I think there are things you can do to become a male footballer. But probably going to take time. But what I was going to say is, like, for instance, I grew up in Poland, and whenever I go back, we do like to have our, sports personalities advertise everything. And when I say everything, it's literally everything.
Yeah.
The least relevant thing they can think of, they're probably advertising it right now.
Oh, really?
So the current national treasure is Robert Lewandowski. I don't know, he's playing for some German...
Sounds familiar.
He's left. He's left. Left, and this is his nickname in Polish, left, because Lewandowski, lewa means left. Anyway, he's left, but he's left now.
Yeah.
But the point about him is, like, he almost, seeing him on every single billboard, every advert, like literally everywhere, open your fridge, there's Lewandowski there, switches me off to football completely.
Okay.
So I would actually say, bring on more adverts of footballers, so people just don't care anymore. Right. Because what is this thing about, like, we won. You didn't play. You were watching it on TV. You didn't play. What do you mean we won?
Okay, so
sorry.
You're saying that. Okay, so that's really interesting. So you're for more footballers advertising random things, like maybe a toenail clipper. Yes. I wonder what football player would be good advertising. Yeah, wart remover. That's so interesting. So, I mean, what do we think about this? If we see more football players advertising things, will we care less? Also, Margot, you brought up a valid point about why is it that we could sort of say we won as a nation when the football team wins? I mean, what football team do you support? Do you support a football team? You're terrible. Are we terrible when we don't support football teams? Come and join us.
2 minutes.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Were you making the hand cream? I think someone's making hand cream over there. What are you doing over there?
I'm on the story gathering.
What is that?
I don't know yet. I'm helping out. No, we're gathering stories from past, present, and future from the area.
Mm-hmm. So you're getting people's stories about. Sorry, say that again.
From past, the present, and ideas of the future as well.
Ideas for the future. We've got Lucia on this side, who has been working in Camden for the last 5 years, collecting stories, hearing people talk about, the changing of the area. I mean, what's the visions for the future? What are some of the hopes for the future? We had Rebecca around the table that's hoping that there will be more opportunities for women playing sports in Camden. You had your hand up, Margot?
I'm just curious about this story gathering. I was recently me and my friend had a conversation, and he did a project where he was gathering stories. And so we just had a conversation about that, and he said, you know what, right? I spoke to this woman, it was up in north of England. Spoke to this woman, she's like, oh, you have to hear my story. It was something about community. You have to hear my story, so amazing. He's like, okay, what's the story? One time we had an electricity power, cut, and we had to use candles. Oh my god, it was such an amazing night. And okay, I can use my imagination, and to me that would be probably quite amazing. But he really hated that story, and he says, literally, this was the most boring story. I've wasted my life. And she was drawing it out. I've given you a truncated version. So what do you do when somebody gives a really boring story?
Ooh, that's interesting. Is there such thing? Is there such thing as a boring story?
There are no boring stories.
Oh.
I think that if that for that woman, it was obviously a very important moment in her life to have candles, and she thought it was interesting enough to tell. So you just got to figure out why it was important for her and why it was interesting. Mikey wants to say something.
So you're saying it's the why, maybe that story.
There was probably more to it than just the power cut and the candles.
So maybe the story receiver wasn't curious enough. They didn't ask enough questions. Interesting.
I mean, it reminds me of the famous novella Heart of Darkness, which is set in my hometown in Gravesend.
Okay.
And what actually people don't realise that it's set in Gravesend, because most of the story is not in Gravesend. It's them waiting for the tide to turn so they can sail upriver to London. And so they're sitting waiting. Yeah. And I think that power cut, people sitting around, they can't watch TV, they can't do anything else apart from talk and chat, could be an excellent framing device for a story where people can say, maybe, for example, we've just been doing a project with some people from Uganda, and their power is not so kind of constant, so they're always having power cuts.
Right.
So, maybe it could be a sort of frame for that story, or a frame for, like that Scooby-Doo thing, the lights come back on, where's my necklace gone? Or something like that. I think it is... I personally agree with Lucia that any story is a fun story.
Yeah. So you're saying actually there's a story can be found in the waiting, the anticipation. Is there enough places in Camden to just sort of sit and wait in anticipation? I mean, I'm not saying that there's I hope there's no power cuts in Camden, but is there enough spaces to just sit and imagine what the future can be like? I know you were talking about, you're thinking about the future of Camden. I'm thinking about when I can eat the Solero. Oh my gosh. You know what? Each time I pop into a shop, they never have Soleros. And I can't believe I've come to this spot in Camden and there's Soleros.
If you want,
anyway. Oh, no, it's cool, man. There'll be enough Soleros.
Yeah, you say that.
I hope so. Can you hold a Solero for me, please? Okay, maybe they didn't get that. Oh, it might melt. It might melt by that time.
Solero, yeah.
I think the Solero might melt. I mean, it seems like a lot of people like Soleros around here. What is it about Soleros that are so good? Damn, there's people eating Soleros over there. Okay.
I just want to link all these subjects together, because actually, when we had the huge heat wave, we nearly had a catastrophic power cut, because all the fridges, all the air conditioning was going on full blast, and we would this close to actually the UK nearly ran out of power, because we were just not used to that heat, and everyone was turning their fans on, their air conditioning, the fridges were on full blast. There was an energy surge, yeah, exactly. So that could have, in the future, when things get warmer, we could actually be having these same power cuts, and it could be a story of going, I remember when we could just go and get a Solero and just sit around the table and have instead of now where we're baking in the heat and we can't have Soleros anymore.
I'm a little bit chilly right now, but no, I hear what you're saying. Oh, Soleros! Oh my gosh, amazing. come and join us? Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Let's get a final thought from you before you go.
About
absolutely anything you want to leave us with. I mean, what do you think about
well, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to work with a guy who wrote a book about London's trees. He's written a book about UK's trees, and he's going to do a walk in terms of the story of the trees. So especially this one, obviously, is a focus. And toward perhaps curating planting of trees. So that's the future.
I mean, we got a new friend here, but I know you're leaving us. What is the story of this tree, and why should people care about this tree?
I think you need somebody from the community to tell that one, but it's seen a lot of quite how do you say, dramatic incidents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people have. I think it's true. There's been murders, haven't there?
Oh.
Yeah, it's this tree here which the community have identified as the story. This is the story tree, isn't it? This is the Tory tree.
What is this tree called? What's the name of this tree?
The story tree.
Okay,
It is the story tree. So here you see the ceramic thing in front of it. There's a group here from Central St Martin's, and they're going to be trying to transform stories into objects made out of ceramics, out of clay. And they're going to be hung on that thing in front of the tree.
I mean, what is the name of this tree? Other than
it's a London plane.
It's a London plane.
And it's about 200 years old.
Plain, I must say.
Well, they were built to shade the streets in the they were built in the Victorian age.
Okay, so it's just called a London plane.
Yeah, but this area's got lots of them.
This area's got lots of London
It's got fantastic trees.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do we know enough about trees in Camden? Do we need to start naming these London planes? I don't know. London plain sounds very plain. I don't know
the area that well, but just the short time I've interacted here, people know these trees. I mean, they're really fond of these trees, and they're massive. And the one over the corner, I think that's called was it a Chinese? It's a Chinese tree, and they grow very, very fast. They were planted because they grow very, very quickly.
Really, really quickly.
And they pop up everywhere.
Oh. You know, I'll blame the trees on that one. We've got a new face at the table.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to just quickly jump out and eat your Solero, and then I'll jump in, because look how fast I am eating my Solero. Okay, well,
while Mike is, I like a man who knows his trees, but these are rather large. If they're London plane, they're rather large trees. But what I know about London plane trees is, in Victorian times, they were a crossbreed from some Spanish species with an English species, and they were fast growing, like the man said. But I think these are early. I think these are a lot earlier than Victorian. This tree is about nearly 500 years old. I'm thinking it's at least 350, 400 years, so it's Queen Elizabeth times the first.
So there's a lot of history
Tudor.
to this tree.
Yeah.
Is it a Tudor tree?
It's a Tudor tree. I think this one is 400 years plus.
Wow.
If the truth be known, you know.
Okay, all right. Oh, well, I'm just jumped in the middle just so that Ellen can eat ice lolly.
One more thing about London planes to recognise them is the bark. This isn't London plane bark, because the bark of the tree often comes off.
Right, okay. All right, well, I'm just jumping in the middle here. Hopefully this is still working. Hello. We've had all sorts of technical problems today. We've got interference, everything. Anyway, my name's Mikey. Let's get some names. What's your name?
Lucia.
Rupsana, yep. Ellen, we knew that.
Isabella.
Oh, hang on, let me just turn it up. Isabella and
Steve.
And
I'm Margot. I'm worried about the trees.
What do you mean you're worried about the trees?
No, because they're huge. They're very magnificent. But is this? Are these buildings good for their roots? I mean, they've probably got very, very deep roots. But look, this got tarmac. Well, not tarmac, but tarmac as well. But you know, all this going on, they should have like wild growing, other trees growing.
Do trees need other trees to go around them? Are they lonely as trees? Have you got any views on the trees, Ripsana?
I love trees.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite tree?
No, I just generally like trees because they give us a breeze and shade.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have lived here for a while, but I don't know much about the name of the trees. But these trees, these lot, have watched generation of family growing up, learning how to do cycling. You know, they all used to come around here and practice their cycling skills.
Right.
Every parent staff who's attended the local school will say, "Oh, I've taken my son down there to learn his bike riding," or you know, grandmother, "Oh, I used to take my son down there."
So this was like a little cycle track around the trees.
We used to go round. Now they developed it and made it into a square.
Yeah.
We used to go round.
Used to be a track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, pavement used to go round.
Okay. So it used to be a cycle track. I wonder how many different stories, talking about stories, how many different stories these trees have witnessed, if trees actually do witness things. Sorry, what's your name again?
Isabella.
Isabella, yeah.
I'm part of Community Champions, and that was sort of our whole idea of the whole story tree. We, Marie, which is one of the Community Champions members, she did her research on all of the trees and all of the history of the area.
Yeah.
And, you know, she found out that Cumberland Market literally used to be a market before it became a park.
Yeah.
And how then it, you know, became a building site.
Yeah.
And so on. And she was the one who discovered this tree and discovered that we can gather all of these stories from all of the people in the area and encourage them to come and share their stories.
Have you got a favourite tree story?
Okay, maybe not a tree in Camden, but definitely a tree in my home country, in Colombia.
Oh, yeah.
My mum is quite fond of the swings that hang on trees.
Right.
Like, you know, like swings in your home. And I definitely have quite fond memories, and so does my mum.
Okay, so you've got a particular swing on a particular tree. Do you know what sort of tree it was?
No.
No? Okay, well, it's something to find out.
A big one.
We've got a new face over here. I'm going to come to you in a second because you've just taken a mouthful. So it's not a good time to get your name. But we have got Ellen, we have got Isabella, we've got Steve, we've got Margot, we've got Lucia, we've got Ripsana. I'm Mikey. I was just about to come back to you, but then you've just done another mouthful. I'll come back to you in a second. At the moment, we're sort of talking about trees and the history of trees. Does this tree have a history? Is one of the questions. Ellen.
On TikTok recently, I've seen how where people actually talk to the tree, they're communicating with the tree, and the tree's kind of moving as they speak to the tree.
Right.
So that's why some people believe that the tree is actually like really alive.
Okay.
And it's so interesting to just have that connection. But the other point I wanted to make is that
should we involve this tree in the conversation?
I think the tree is listening. It's moving now. It's listening to us, you know. And also, like a lot of people are saying on there that when they're walking through the woods, they don't feel lonely because they're protected by the trees.
Okay.
So actually, when you kind of the other point I wanted to make is you were saying how like all of these trees come from different places.
Yeah.
Yet when they came to the UK, they were just named the London Plane.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something that feels a bit like
they just planed it up.
The colonisation of it.
Yeah. It doesn't actually come from London.
So interesting and so diverse, and they just call it London Plane.
Yeah. It's like this mixture of trees, as you were saying, from around the world, and they call it the London Plane. Anyway, we've got a new face at the table. What's your name?
My name is Huria.
Huria?
Yes.
At the moment we're talking about this tree and this tree. We have got, give us a final thought, Lucia, before you go.
Trees are amazing, and they talk to each other as well.
They talk to each other?
Yes.
Can we understand what they're saying?
I think we're learning.
Okay, so learn to understand the trees. That's a good point. I'm going to give a...
One point.
Yeah, Steve,
Because this area is now being renovated.
Yeah.
These trees have been liberated because it was really, really bad to look at because there was concrete around. Yeah. There was a concrete wall around these trees.
Yeah.
You know, so they look a lot better now. They look like they're not in captivity like a zoo. This was like a zoo before for trees, where they had like a wall like you're sitting in. You imagine you're a tree and you've got this wall around you. How would you feel like for 50 years?
You know, it could make you feel safe as well, you know, having a little barrier around. You know, it makes me feel safe doing this, definitely. You know, where would I be without this little table around?
Surrounded by us.
Exactly,
I'll be surrounded by us, and we will keep you safe because we have to keep each other safe.
Yeah, true.
So, but the tree, I understand, we shouldn't imprison them. We shouldn't put them in concrete because they are from the jungle or they're from the nature. You know, we bring them, we plant them. We should look after them.
Definitely,
you know? We should not imprison them in the. You were right, and
But I just want to come to this point of the trees talking because we've also involved this tree is in the show as well, kind of thing, because it's given us shade. What would the trees actually say? What would they say? These trees?
At the moment, I don't think any human being can understand their language. But if you look biologically, the roots do talk to each other because when you put plants together, they grow. But when you isolate a plant,
they get lonely.
They die. So therefore, they have their own language. I don't know in how many years we will be maybe understanding their language.
I mean, could we imagine what they say, these trees? I mean, are they saying, oh, I can't believe I've got a really bad case of humans everywhere?
Exactly.
They're just everywhere, running around. I wish they'd go away. Or are they happy to have people around?
I like the idea of trees having names. A second thing I wanted to say is they will probably they wouldn't say anything. They'll probably just like be an emoji of like rolling eyes because we kind of like go and oh my god the trees, oh my god the stuff happening. Like we're so self-important as people, but really we are just insignificant parts in the lives of these trees. They probably just look at us and go like,
okay.
So, you know, it's like, they don't even talk. They don't even come down to that level of talking, saying things like, "Oh Jesus, here they go again."
One of these trees be called Clarence because it's Clarence Gardens.
One of them.
So this big one must be Clarence the tree.
Well, I'll talk to the council and see if I can get clearance for the Clarence idea. But we've got a new face over here. Tell us your name. Mana. We've got Margot, we've got Steve, we have got Isabella, we have got Huya and Ripsana and this lovely person that's coming to sit down. What's your name?
Am I?
I feel like you are anyway. What's your name?
Janet.
Janet. And we've got Ellen over here and Mikey. And then we're talking about trees and if trees could tell a story. Would trees, apparently trees talk to each other, but would they talk to us or would they just, you know, would we be beneath them, so to speak? Would they actually want to talk to us? What would they say? These are some of the questions on the table at the moment. Would you call this tree Clarence? Or this tree Clarence? Or this tree Clarence? So that's basically where we are right now. I saw a hand up somewhere, but I was over here, Adam,
Yeah, and who is Clarence, anyway?
Who is Clarence of a Clarence
And should
garden?
we be naming a tree after a human? Like, you know what I mean? Like, surely the tree should have its own tree name.
Are we too human-centric, Mana?
A tree talk to you by growing prosperity and when a tree grow in a very good form and it keep growing in time, it's talking to humans. That is, they show gratitude to humans because humans were taking care, watering them, and fertilize them, giving them the fertilization, and also might be other pollinating as well. So therefore, they are talking to us when they receive, they produce all these things for us, and the tree grows so well. That is the gratitude, and it's a way of talking to human beings.
Okay, so is a tree actually communicating to us with just by growing into a beautiful form, it's a form of communication. I feel like this conversation is a little bit too heavy for Janet. Yeah,
I've just noticed that this tree has been put into captivity.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying, captivity. Because like they were all like that. Clarence had a big wall around it like this, concrete. This looks a little bit more prettier.
Yeah.
But look.
Brick. So
it's brick and concrete around it. Like, would you like to have brick and concrete around you? Yeah, okay. Concrete boots.
Are we giving the tree concrete boots by doing this? Rupsana, come and get involved in this. What do you think about, is this tree being put into captivity? Is it happy like that?
I think it's happy. It's the way it has grown. It's got new fresh compost being put in, new walls being given us. I think it's quite happy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have a show of hands. Who thinks the trees are happy here? Mana does. Isabella. Yeah. Most people seem to think the trees are happy. You're saying no, the tree's not happy. Okay. Well, if trees could talk. Is this tree happy? That's what we're talking about here. What do you think? This one's not happy.
It's not happy.
No.
I'm not happy looking at it.
Okay.
Not with a wall around it like a zoo.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Where are we going to go with this? Ellen, do you want to jump back in now that you finished your ice lolly, or shall I just keep it going for a bit more? I just want to get this person's opinion. Is the tree happy? That's what we're talking about at the moment.
I just heard you say that, and yes, I think the tree is happy.
Okay. That's yeah. But what about this one that's all walled up like that? Is that tree happy?
It looks less happy.
Yeah. Okay. So less happy to be walled up. And if this tree had a name, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. It's an old tree. It's maybe like an old name.
Yeah. Okay. So it'd be like Steve says it's a Tudor tree. Would it have a Tudor name?
Maybe.
And what is a Tudor name? That's some really big questions. Henry. Okay. Okay.
I've got like a half a thought based on what Mana was saying. It's like, if the tree looks good and healthy and strong, then that's a sign for us that it's happy. And I wonder whether it's the same with parents and children. Okay, you may find your child really annoying, but you can see it's like, or it disagrees with you or whatever. But because it's like physically healthy and strong, then you're like, I've done a good job here as a parent. I'm just curious. I'm not a parent, but I just wonder.
Any parents around the table? Any parents? You're a parent?
I'm a parent of 2 children.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. What do you think about this comment, Huya?
Well, I think, trees, but they are not like our children because we have not given them the life, The life is given by the universe. Myself, I look at it. And but tree gets compared to us, or we compare ourselves to tree. In my culture, being North African, they tell us, stand like tree.
Stand like a tree?
Yeah, because tree has the season where, for example, the leaves fall, but the tree still stand as a tree.
Okay, so the tree is a symbol of strength.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So humans have to always think like that. It's hard to say that stand like a tree. That's in my culture because you see the wind, you see the winter, the rain, but rarely you see a tree falling down,
Yeah.
And it's only like we said, if we have hurt them.
Okay, so we're talking about standing like a tree. There's a lot of ice lollies coming through as well. So if anyone hasn't got an ice lolly, now's the time to go and get one. We're also talking about families. Is growing a child like growing a tree? And do you want come and get involved in this? Huya, don't go. We need your wisdom. But who have we got here? Tell us your name. We have got Huya, we have got Isabella, we've got Ellen, we've got Steve, we have got Margot, we have got Mana, and what's your name? Ravia, and I'm Mikey. Come and get involved in this. There's no age limit on Talkaoke. So we had a comment from Margot, which was that, is it the same, because Mana was saying the trees are happy because they are so strong and beautiful and elegant. And Margot was saying, is it the same with children? If your children are strong and beautiful and elegant, you've done a good job. Is there more to it than that? Is it the same as having a tree?
I don't think I can say that it's the same because all children are different and some tend to just be more shy, others are more confident.
Yeah.
I've got 4 children and they're all really different, the qualities are different, but I give the same sort of care.
How come they all turn out different when they've got the same parents, the same home?
It's just like me and you, we're different. We have different opinions, we have different likes and dislikes, so... Yeah.
You can't educate a tree, can you? Trees educate us.
Okay. You can't educate a tree. All right, so I don't know where we're going to go with this. Are we going to go in the children thing, the tree thing, the trees and children thing? Yeah.
But I think these things are connected, trees and children, because like, why do they say like, oh, a real man has to like plant a tree, create a child, a boy, I think, but and build a house. So there is something that kind of like interlinks.
Do they say that?
Don't they say that?
I've never heard
have you not? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is like a thing, like a real man, or maybe it's just say in Poland, but in Poland you say a real man builds a house, creates an heir, whatever, a male son, whatever, and plants a tree. And once you've done all these 3 things, then you're fulfilled as a man.
What do you do then?
Honestly, that's what this is.
What if you don't have a son? What if you only have girls? You know, that'll be really sad for a guy who's trying to be a real man, and then you know.
Hang on a sec, Ravia, there's some people that are curious and they're going, what is this? This is Talkaoke Pop-Up Talk Show where everyone's welcome. Just come and take a seat. At the moment we're sort of talking about growing trees but also growing human beings. Is there a similarity? These are some of the questions. Come, you can get involved in this. Tell us your name as well.
My name is Loyas. I just thought I'd add 2 things to it.
Yeah.
I think growing a tree and having children, it's like this. It's very similar. It's like, you know, you gotta love the tree, you gotta nourish it, you gotta water it, but it's different because if you plant a seed, you gotta remember that you might not live to see that tree actually grow and sit under the shade. You know, so when you have that mind that, you know, I'm gonna grow a tree, grow a seed, I'm not gonna actually be sitting under that shade, but my children's children might sit there. But it is kind of like the same thing because, you know, with plants as well, if you care for it, if you love it, you take care of it, they do blossom the way you want it to blossom. So with children, it's not like you need to keep spending money on them. You need to give them quality time, like and nourish them and show them that you care for them. Listen to them. That's one of the most important things. Just listen to children, and you see, like Ravia said, we've got 4 children. Hard to listen to all 4 of them at one time, but you know, they are all different, just like everybody's different.
I find that fascinating that they come out so differently, you know, when they've come, so to speak, from the same seeds. I mean, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? And
well, now that you said, even though they come from the same parents and they're all different, it's like if you grow an apple tree, not all of the apples are going to taste exactly the same. They're all going to have different tastes, but very similar. They might say sweet, but some of them might be even more sweeter than the other ones. So it is same, but there is difference to it. But the main thing is obviously you got to care for that tree.
Okay, so it's the care that is in common. You've got to care for the tree, you've got to care for the kids. Come and get involved in this.
Where are my kids?
Where are the kids? Oh, don't worry about them, they'll be fine. They're learning. They're over there, I can see them there. They're learning. Sometimes you've got to teach the children independence as well.
See, that's why there's only one. You have 3 children, you have 3 trees, but they're all individual because the number 3 is only an expression of 1, 3 ones. There's only 1. There's no other number, only 1. 3, 4, 5 is an expression of how many ones.
It's just 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1.
Binary number.
Okay. We're getting into some complicated mathematics here as well. So we're talking about trees, we're talking about children, we're talking about care. It's up to you where to take. Come and get involved in this. You're doing a bit of care as well, aren't you? Where do we want to take this conversation, Ellen?
You know, I find it interesting how, like, you know, you mentioned apple trees, and there's an apple tree near to where I live, and some years it bears fruit, and some years it doesn't. So I just find that very interesting how, the inconsistency.
Yeah,
with
so
the
it's not
bearing
always
of
the
fruit.
same. It's not, as you were saying, it's not
always the same. But
yeah.
also as well, I know Margot was mentioning the saying in Polish about when a man plants a tree, and then also the lady from North Africa was talking about trees in her culture, and I thought it's very interesting how people can use trees to as a way to sort of live through life. I don't know, go through life.
There's a lot of tree stories. Okay,
Metaphors,
so we've got some new faces here. True stories. We've got Margot, we've got Steve, we've got Ellen, we've got Isabella. What's it? Loyas. And what's your name?
Mukammal Hussain.
Can I just shorten it?
Nickname Robin.
What's that?
Robin.
Robbie?
Robin.
Okay, yeah.
Udin.
Yeah.
Udin.
Yeah. And
Omar,
and my name's Mikey. We're sort of talking, it's weird because we're surrounded by these beautiful trees. One of the questions is, what are the trees saying? Are they actually talking to us? And Mana, who's gone now, was saying, actually they are communicating a kind of gratitude by being so big and strong and beautiful. And then we came to the thing is, they're a bit like children in a way, that you look after them, and then they... yes, there's a bit of tree there, yes. So then we sort of talked about in all different cultures, there's different sort of metaphors with trees. In, I think it's in North African culture, you have to stand strong like a tree. In the Polish culture, a man is only fully a man once he's planted a tree, given birth, or not given birth, but created a male heir and all this kind of stuff. So in a way we're talking about trees and culture and stories and different cultures. So that's where we are. Loyas, you had a point.
Well, yeah, you
Grab
said.
The mic, yeah.
Coming back to it, it's like.
Yeah.
I think
it's Margot. Yeah.
Margot said.
Yeah.
Man is a man when he plants a tree, but sometimes like not all trees go.
Yeah.
You can plant a seed and it won't grow.
Yeah.
And it's like. Anybody could be a dad.
Yeah.
If you point into the same thing as children.
Yeah.
Anybody, once they done the deed.
Yeah.
You can be a dad.
Yeah.
But it takes a real man to be a father.
Yeah.
You got to sacrifice everything for your children to become a good father. Your priorities changes.
Yeah.
Like if I plant a tree and I'm just going to leave it there and let the sun and the rain just do the work, it might not happen.
Yeah.
I've got to come around, make sure, I've fertilized it, make sure I've keeping the bugs off, making sure I talk to the tree, you're growing nicely. You got to give it some good feedback as well.
I mean, what you would say the most important job of that father is not when it comes to trees, but to human beings?
As human beings, one of my main responsibilities that I take as a father is making sure that my children are happy.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, they're happy. Obviously, the other things come into it, like making sure that there's safety involved. So if they're on the internet, am I looking out for them, making sure they're okay? Like I said, one of the biggest things with children is to listen to them.
Yeah.
And also with children, it's like you don't see or you judge them differently because they're different sex.
Yeah.
I think it's sometimes in my culture we treat our children differently depending on what sex they are.
What culture is that?
Bangladeshi.
Right.
So I think in that culture, sometimes we tend to give more ease to our boys and be harsher to our girls.
Yeah.
Where I treat my children exactly the same. It doesn't matter if you're a boy, you're a girl, if you're fat, if you're dark. I don't care. You're gonna get treated the same.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the way I see it.
There's a lot of food for thought there, Loyas. Thanks for that. You got your hand up, Ellen, but I wanted to also involve more people. In a way, you're talking about the art of fatherhood. What it's all about. There's a lot of insight there, and I want to get some input from. Are there any other fathers here? Any fathers? But anyway, go on.
You know what? I feel like I'm getting some insight into why my Japanese maple tree didn't grow.
Yeah.
I planted it didn't grow, but now I realize, I'm not a man, so of course it wouldn't grow, just following...
Okay, so yeah.
Just from what Margot was saying,
not enough male...
men plant trees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I should have just got a man to plant it,
Yeah, I mean, well...
But also I was just going to say...
You can sort of put that question to...
Yeah.
Does it take a man to do these jobs that Loyas is talking about?
Or
could it be also a mother doing these jobs?
I've got a new Japanese maple now, so maybe I'll get a man.
You know what James Brown said?
Yeah.
James Brown said, "It's a man's world, but it'd be nothing without the love of a woman."
Okay. What, 2 rules in Talkaoke? No singing and no fighting. You're getting dangerously close there. So, Omar, have you got any views on this?
I think my real quick.
Yeah.
So I missed the initial premise of the question.
Yeah, well, that's Talkaoke. It goes on and on and on and on. Okay. But just point the microphone into you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, perfect.
I think if we're talking about the whole concept of fatherhood, you then almost drift in a little bit more into the concept of manhood and masculinity. What does all kind of that mean? And I feel there is no straightforward. It's not one straight line.
Yeah.
Everybody's got different journeys, everybody has different experiences, and we're talking about the whole concept of planting a tree.
Yeah.
I'd say you don't necessarily have to be a man to necessarily embark upon some of those rules and activities. But I do feel, especially when you have an I think equally for both sexes, but I think it plays different parts that are different for a young woman versus a young man. So a boy growing up, seeing a father enact some of those rules which he at one point in his future life aspires to then enact. I think that's a real fundamental space to be part of and experience and be able to witness. Equally with a young woman, seeing her father in that space and have that person who she can undoubtedly trust on, rely on, and feel like overwhelming support for whatever it is that she does or wants to kind of like aspire towards. I feel having that available to her.
That kind of solidity in a way.
There we go. Is equally as important. So I feel, that space for fatherhood is really, really key.
Okay. So at the moment we're talking about, we kind of moved on a little bit. We're sort of talking about fatherhood and sort of definition of manhood as well to a certain extent. I mean, there's a point.
I'm sure trees can live without man, but we can't live without trees.
Okay.
And what Omar said, a man planting a tree, but we don't need to get involved in planting trees because it's like the chicken and the egg. Who was here first, the man or the tree? And I'm sure the trees were here first.
Okay, the trees were definitely here for... It's not a chicken and egg in the sense that we know that the trees were here before us. Okay, Margot?
No, I'm just interested in this idea of manhood. Because I hear people say that, because I think in comparison to, let's say, when I was growing up, I think this, and in the country where I was growing up in, I think people here just like that. I just don't see any issues with expressing manhood in whatever ways it is. So I just don't quite understand this kind of campaign. Like you didn't say that, but you know there are campaigns like, oh yeah, what does it mean to be a man? I think people know what it means to be a man, and that it's not an issue really. I don't see in this country that being an issue. I think people are really, particularly in London, they really express themselves, and no one cares. So there is no issue.
We are in the hood. I'm a man. And this is my hood.
Okay, so we're talking about. So basically, Margot is saying there's no issue with manhood. I mean, we started off actually. One of the first comments here today was that how in Camden in this day and age, people are happy to express whatever they think and feel. And that is, come and get involved in this.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. And okay, so we've got Omar, we've got Loyas, we've got Isabella, we've got Ellen, we've got Margot, I'm Mikey. We had Steve, Steve with a ukulele. Tell us your name.
My name's Paul.
Paul, and when we started talking about trees, but then we sort of talked about trees as a kind of metaphor for nurturing and looking after things. Loyas is a father over here, and he was saying that to be a father actually involves a lot of listening about understanding your children and not really judging them, and also, just treating them all equally. And then Omar came in with this point about, what we're really talking about as a fatherhood is actually about the definition of what it means to be a man. And then Margot said, well, I don't think there's any issue with men being men. They just do it, they know what they're doing. And that's where we are sort of at this point.
No.
So that's where we are.
Clueless, we are.
What's that?
We're totally clueless, actually. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Are men totally clueless? That's what Paul says.
I am. I don't know about. Sorry, I wouldn't say you. I wouldn't say you are.
Give us
you look like you're. You know what it is to be a man. But
what is when you say clueless? Give us an example where you. Maybe.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what does being a man mean? In any case, I mean, what is it different from being a human being in some way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is one of the questions on the table. It's a good one. Thank you, Paul, for putting it like that. Ellen, you had.
I don't know. Maybe you're. I was just thinking with Paul. You know, I don't know. When I looked at you, I thought, oh, that's a man. He's got X-Men T-shirt. There's a very feminine woman on there. There's something very masculine about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I actually have the original copy, and it's worth a fortune. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a copy of the copy.
This is a T-shirt of the cover of X-Men 101.
Right.
And I actually have the original copy.
Okay. Is that quite a male thing? Would you say?
That's quite a geeky thing.
Okay,
actually.
it's a geeky thing.
But women can be geeks as well.
Okay, interesting.
I think it was quite geeky when I did it, which was back when I bought it. It was in 1977, but now it's quite a popular thing.
Oh, okay, interesting. Oh, hang on a sec. We wanted to get your name. What's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron, come closer. Okay, so at the moment we're talking about men and boys. How did you define a boy or a man?
I don't know.
Don't know? Well, Paul doesn't know either, and we're trying to find out. But anyway,
if you don't know the answer, is you put another question.
Put another question, yeah. Maybe it could be, what does this man think over here? But yeah.
You know, it's just so interesting because I mean, you know, earlier somebody around the table was talking about the fact that, you know, Camden, it's so inclusive to all the LGBTQIA+.
Yeah.
So should we be talking about womanhood and manhood? Shouldn't there be like another them, they sort of hood? What would you call that? What would you call someone, you know, in terms of the hood that doesn't identify as a man or woman? What would that be? Would that be them hood? I'm genuinely curious.
Well, I think we need to put the call out.
I feel like there is some kind of
are there people that want to talk about that?
LGBTQIA+?
Because I mean, I think we need to put the call out. Does anyone around the table feel that way, that they want?
What does it mean to be a human being? Is what you're saying? Yeah. Which is yes. Is that a different? Well, it probably is a different thing to be a woman than a man, but yes.
I mean, I do wonder, because we were also earlier on talking about football, like female footballers getting less money for the wins that they bring than men.
Not in America.
Than male players in the UK, shall we specify?
Yeah.
But you know, should there be like kind of in between team? I don't necessarily mean, you know, just someone's like, actually, I don't care about gender. It doesn't matter. There could be like biologically male or female. It doesn't really matter. It's like I'm just opting out of this gender bollocks. You know. You know, gender pubic hair. I don't know. That's a bit more kind of. You know what I'm trying to say. You know, and somebody's like, oh, I'm just gonna be a human.
Gender then is that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be just like in a human football league.
Yeah.
Human league.
Is it a human league rather than the men's league and a women's league? Should it just be the human league? Hang on. Let me hang on, Paul. Let me just get to lawyers.
I don't think men and women are equal. I think as a man, and in my religion, I take my woman more higher than me. So I take a woman more on a higher level. I give them a higher status. But coming back to when I mean like men and women are not equal, it's like if you look at engineering, it's like most of the engineers, they're all men. They want to get their hands on and they want to physically do things. And when you think about females, if you look at the care side of the industry, you look at most of the nurses, they're all women because they're more like caring and loving and more gentle, where men are they're quite tough, you know, they want to get on to the grit and grind and they just want to get on with it. But you know, going back to what we were saying about planting trees and children, and you were saying, you know, it takes fatherhood and so on. I think some of the individual characters are the women, because some of the single mothers that are in Camden, they don't need a man for them to be looked after or to be supported. They can go out there, they can look after the children, they can get a job, they can provide, they can listen to their children, and then some of them do even more of a better job than most fathers out there.
Okay.
I don't know if many of you agree.
You're throwing a lot into the pot there, but we've got some new faces here. Let's just get some. So we've got. Okay. Well, you've really kind of, you know, thrown one in there. But so we had lawyers. We've got Isabella, Ellen, Steve, Margot, Paul, and who have we got over here? What's your name?
Odette.
Odette.
Jesse.
And
Abdullah.
Abdullah and Mikey, come and join in. We're sort of talking about, are men and women essentially different? Do they have different skills? Is it just, yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure about what he said, but he just walked away now. But I'm just not sure about this.
I think he was sensing this maybe as a bit too hot a comment.
Too hot a comment. I mean, I don't know, like I always, maybe it's a provocation, but some of my male friends, they often say, not often, but sometimes I hear them say, oh, you know, and this lady, something, something. And I always have to stop and say, like, sorry, is this like 18th century? But they don't even think about it because they say, you got, like, well, basically there's nothing wrong with the word in itself, but what I think it exemplifies is that we just kind of give this like patronizing tone to like, oh, lady, like, she's a woman, it's not offensive, you can say, but I think there's some kind of strange patronizing of women, because women are more like this. So, but I'm respecting them more. I respect men more. That's why I'm just gonna,
hang on a sec, Steve. I'll come to you in a second. But I want to put the question out there: are women getting patronised by being called lady? I want to ask the women here before I come to you, Steve. What are the females around there?
You know, it's so interesting because, like, my mum often refers to women as girls, or she might be like, "Oh yeah, I saw this girl in Sainsbury's," and then like my brother would be like, "It's a woman, not a girl," because she's an adult. So it's just so interesting how. Sorry, I keep over you.
They're not. They're too old to be a girl.
Yeah, they're too old to be a girl. It's a woman, not a girl. But I don't know. I just find it interesting how the ways we refer to women can like you were saying, it can be patronising. For example, when I used to work in pubs, sometimes people would refer to me as darling. You right, babe, darling. And in the moment, I didn't really mind them calling me darling, but I just remember a colleague really having to go at someone that called me darling. But I mean, I was okay with it. I thought it was quite sweet.
Yeah.
So
okay. All right. So we're talking. Come and have a seat. Come and join in. This is Talkaoke Pop-Up Talk Show. Okay. Everyone's welcome to come. We have got Jesse, Abdullah. We've got Isabel. We've got Ellen. We've got Steve. We've got Paul. Tell us your name.
My name's Daniel.
Daniel. Well, I've been doing it a long time. And come and get involved in this. We're talking about men and women. Is it patronising to call a woman lady or girl?
Yeah, because lady was originally a class thing, and it was actually an upper class woman that was a lady. So what we're saying now is that by calling somebody a lady, you're denigrating them rather than raising them.
Yeah. Okay. So you think that's actually a nice thing to say?
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying what the origin. I'm just saying what the origin of the word was.
Well, any thoughts on this, Jesse?
At the moment, I'm just trying to get just what everybody's talking about. But I just know that over the years there's been like, I say different use of words for both genders. That can come across offensive, but in the world we live in, like, assumptions are just based off conversations at first hand. For example, when I was younger, for example, gender reveals, they assumed that boys blue, girls pink. So in the world we live in, like, everybody's gonna get offended some way. So it's just about you following up and saying how you would like to be called, if that's
okay. So in a way, it's sometimes it's like Ellen in the pub. She didn't mind being called darling. Some other people did. It's just up to the individual, and then they just say, sorry, don't call me something else, and it's as simple as that. Steve, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just like to say, the rules of the party is don't mention politics, religion, or sex. And this. He was mentioning blue for a boy, pink for a girl, and if it's somewhere in between, it's yellow, because yellow has no gender.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we've got a lot of new faces suddenly around the table, and some people coming with some blinging wear going on. I mean, this is Talkaoke Pop-Up Talk Show, and it is very freeform. We've been talking so far today. Ella, maybe you can recap what we've been talking about so far.
Well, we've been talking about Camden, the change. What does change mean for different people that live around here? We've been talking about the Lionesses. Of course, we saw them win. Was it the World Cup? Who knows? It was the Euros. It was the Euros.
Yeah.
There you go, right? But then, does that mean that is there enough coverage? Is there enough exposure for female sports. What about in Camden? Is there enough opportunities for young girls to play sports post the ages of 14, 15? We've been talking about the trees, the significance of the trees. Why are they just called the London plane trees? What's their real names? What's the purpose? You know, are these trees free?
And there was a lot of chat,
there's a lot of chat about trees.
Trees and the metaphor of trees in different cultures.
What they mean.
Trees, like in the North African culture, we heard that the tree is all about
watching the world pass you by,
and
you
being
know,
strong, standing strong.
Yeah, standing strong.
And in the Polish culture, you're not a real man until you've
planted a tree.
Planted a tree and given rise to a male heir. So. And then we started talking about manhood and fatherhood.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean? And then we're talking about the differences between men and women. Are there any differences? And what about those people that don't want to be a he or a she? And that's where we are right now, really. And, you know, is it offensive to call someone lady? Is it patronising? These are some of the things we're on. Anyway, that's where we are right now. Let's get some names. My name's Mikey. We've got Paul. We've got Margot. We've got Steve. We've got Ellen. We've got Isabella. Tell us your name.
Nasrin.
Nasrin, welcome.
I'm Nash, Mayor of Camden.
Nash, well, let's just give you a... congratulations. And who we got here?
Abdullah.
And
Jesse.
Jesse and...
My name's Nadia. I'm a councillor here in the ward, so is Nash. And I'm also a cabinet member in Camden.
Okay, fantastic. We'll give you some more... Oh, this is gone. I have to do the... and tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Andre from Fitzrovia Youth in Action.
Okay, and I just want to put it out there, anyone's welcome to join this conversation. At the moment we're talking about men. Have you got any views on what you've heard so far? People that have joined?
There's so many subjects you talked about. I want to say, first of all, in terms of lionesses.
Yeah?
You know, we've waited a long time. It was coming home, but it took the women to bring it home, So big shouts out to the lionesses. What a great job they done, you know. I mean, now we can say football's finally come home.
Okay.
But in terms of generally, you've talked about so many things.
Well, I mean,
and for us, you know, what you said was the area changing.
Yeah.
Earlier I made a speech, and what I said is that in the 80s and 90s, I wouldn't be able to sit here without fearing my safety of my life.
Yeah.
So my life would be at risk in the 80s and 90s, if or late 70s as well, if I sat here because it was a no-go area for Asian people. Yep. And now look how different it is. And change doesn't just happen. Change has to be supported by people, by organisations, by the council. And it's a great partnership work like today that we've seen amongst so many organisations. So I want to thank Diorama Arts Centre, Fitzrovia Youth in Action, Community Champions, the detached team, and everyone else, Camden Council, you know, everyone else has been involved, and the community.
They're all taking part.
The community are all part of it, and like you guys as well for coming here, because I think the more we hear, the more we see about diversity. The better the country gets, the better earlier this morning, we were at an event remembering the people that died from the nuclear atomic bomb that was the red button that was pressed by America in Japan. So we're Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So we were there this morning. From there, we come to here. So, you know, in terms of one where you're remembering people to one where you're celebrating and dancing. It's just the changes that we have to go through. But it's fantastic, and well done to everyone put it together.
Well, thank you for that. There's so much there. I mean, the whole point of Talkaoke is it's very free form, so we can go in any direction. So has anyone got... Ellen, you had your hand up?
It's so interesting that you said that in the past, you know, you wouldn't be able to come to this area as an Asian person because, you know, I always saw Camden as a very inclusive place because of the whole punks and the skinheads. But then thinking about the skinheads now, I'm like, okay, I'm like, oh yeah, the skinheads. They also had the other side as well. Okay, wow, so interesting. Right. Because, you know, obviously, with the whole Johnny Rotten and what's her name, who's still the fashion designer.
Yeah. Hang on a sec, guys.
Final thoughts.
Before you go.
Yeah, Vivian Westwood. You know.
Give us a final thought, Jesse Abdullah. Final thought
on
anyone, and just on the chat. And what are you thinking? Yeah.
Well, I'll say it was very beneficial. I mean, some of the points I'll disagree on.
Yeah, what would you disagree on?
Not disagree, but I mean, there's other views. I mean, my standards are based off I feel like the moral standard of man has changed all time. Hanging and penalty death used to be a thing.
Yeah.
In terms of what the mayor of Camden said.
Yeah.
In terms of rights or his position in this place has changed. I say in this world things are enforced, things change because of different authorities and stuff like that. But I say based off this debate, I feel my views are of religion. So the moral standard of God has never changed, but the moral standard of humans has changed over the years in terms of what is right or wrong. So that's where
has it changed for the better, would you say?
Some things, yes. Some things, but those things, there's been a corrupt way of getting there, let's say.
So you think we're more corrupt now?
As in terms of how we got to places, I would say, yeah.
Okay, well that's a big one to throw in.
Yeah, so you can debate about that one.
Yeah, are we more corrupt? Do people feel that we've kind of become more corrupt, even though, as you say, things have changed for the better in terms of racism? Well, Steve was saying no politics, no religion, and no sex. We've been through all of those in the last 5 minutes.
To talk about.
I mean, what else can we talk?
It doesn't have to be about politics, does it?
Yeah.
If you look at the TV, of the last year or so, couple of years, everyone's been locked in, not allowed to come out, and then you watch the TV and you see what's happening without pointing fingers anywhere or anything. Corruption is so much out there.
Yeah.
It's not a political statement, but if I took this chain off, I could say a lot more.
Yeah. But take it off and say a bit more.
I think the point is and it may be social media as well. Maybe everything's coming at us a lot more. Before we couldn't get the news because it's controlled. Now social media, you get it straight away. If you look at Grenfell, what happened in Grenfell, and the action Theresa May took, or non-action Theresa May took, that was the downfall of her. They're not saying hello to the local people who had burnt down their families, the building burned down.
Yeah.
And that was the downfall, and that was because of social media, because it went like this to everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you didn't have to respond straight away because the papers took time to come out. You had more time.
But does that mean we're more corrupt, or does that mean we're just more?
Corruption is different to that. But I mean, everything is moving faster. So all our we put it straight away on Twitter. So something happens, people are reading it straight away. So if you're slow as a politician to react, you're gonna get reaction.
Yeah, you have to be instant in a way.
Could be negative, could be positive.
Okay, well this has probably been on Instagram already. I'm going to come over here. What's your name again?
Nasrin.
Nasrin, yes.
Just to add, thank you. Just to add to that point, I think we've come a long way in terms of how we receive information, and the one thing that I would say is we went from a time where receiving information took an incredibly long time. The only source you have would have been a newspaper, to now where we are bombarded by so much information, and in fact what we call now disinformation. How do you sift through that? How do you filter?
Do you feel overloaded, Nasrin?
I think I was born in an age where I was coming into the generation of the internet, so I don't know if that's overloaded or if that's just standard for me or Isabella, because I think we just had to learn how to sift through information, how to read between the.
To live with it, and
I mean, if you think about it like this, from the moment you leave your house to the moment you come back in, how much are you being bombarded by advertisements on the bus, on clothes? I mean, I'm surprised I haven't seen a Nike tick anywhere yet.
Well, we were talking about this earlier on, actually.
There you go.
Okay. Well, but you had a point, didn't you? Yeah.
I apologise for my uniform, guys, but because the point I was going to make was actually the opposite. It's like people have become more and more disempowered, and it's become more and more sort of consumerist or capitalist or environments where people live, and sadly, as a result, ordinary people, poor people as well, or maybe even especially, are becoming like consumerist almost, and it's become like they need support to remind people that the communities are theirs and that they can organize themselves. It doesn't have to be done for you, and it's like, you know, people can be kind of empowered. But in a way, it's a shame it has to be done through projects.
I mean, Jesse's point about this he feels that the world's becoming more corrupt. Is that because of this kind of disempowerment, do you feel? Or?
I think so. People are becoming more poorer, more kind of feeling of powerlessness, and at the same time they've got these false aspirations of like material goods.
So the aspirations go up, but the power goes down.
But if you think about where we are today and what you see, I think that's the beauty. All these people in these blue T-shirts, like local residents, local young people, and local residents of getting together, organising today like this, deciding what needs to happen. I think that is
so it's sort of growing the power. Okay. The point.
I think also. When you talk about corruption and things like that, why we have certain things in society is because of inequality and the unequal sort of division of power amongst everybody. So when you have the inequality, you have some people who have access to certain things and will continue to do well in life in certain ways, but then other people don't have that. So what we want is an equal society. Like going back to the first point that Nash, when we're talking about the lionesses, you know, bringing it home, why is there such a big disparity in how much female footballers get paid and how much male footballers get paid?
That today as well,
so you know, the inequality is always there, regardless of what you say. And we need people to start bringing it to the fore and keeping it there, so that it doesn't just, you do a little bit of work and then it sort of like, you know, goes back to the background. That's why we appreciate it's a continuous struggle, and you know, different people have sacrificed different bits of their lives or done different things to sort of get to the next level for future generations, and that's why we really appreciate the grassroots work that community organisations like Fitzrovia and others do. But it's not over. It's going to continue, and we need to keep talking about it.
Okay, I just want to. So, what's your name again?
Nadia.
Nadia's said football's come home, but equality hasn't come home yet. Equality still needs to come home. And how are we going to make that happen? I'll come to you in a second, Ellen. But let me go to Huya.
I think corruption existed through history of human being. That goes back to millennia. But it's what the human do. Like, if you have an opportunity as a young person, do you grab that opportunity? Do we work hard for it? So this is what I would say myself. It's working together, but it's also not expecting people to do for us. It's get out there and do it. So like Nadia said, the girls went out there, they did it. But now it's time for us to say, that's not equal, because there is not as much media and as much shouting as if it's the boys both did it. That is the side we need to work harder on.
Okay, so Jesse?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add on to what she said. I would say that, although we're given like opportunities and stuff, there's still like a working rate that the people that has less opportunity has to push. For example, let's say like Serena Williams, for example, like she is a black woman, but the rate she had to work at to basically receive that opportunity in fullness was 10 times harder than the people of different color. So it may be that we may receive opportunities, but there is still that inequality in the sense of we have to fight 10 times harder than the normal person.
Okay, I mean,
what Muhammad Ali said, if you can run, run. If you cannot run, crawl. If you cannot crawl, then just don't give up. We all had to put the hours there. So what I do not like is when people come in and just say corruption. Corruption existed and you will not take it off.
So you need to fight it.
You need to fight for it, and you need to do it by the book. We want it or not. That is how life is.
Okay, so let me just sum this up. In a way, we're talking about equality. We're talking about football's come home, but equality hasn't come home. Everyone around this table, I feel, wants to move towards equality. But who is it actually down to in the end to actually get there? Is it down to everyone? And what about the people that feel disempowered? You know, how do you actually bring them into this equation and get them to do whatever they can? I'll come to you in a second, but I'm going to Margot first.
I mean, on my way down here, I was driving with a cab driver with some equipment, but we were talking about politics. I was finding out from him about politics in Pakistan, and apparently there's a lot of corruption. They're kind of went on there for generations, and the kind of, he called them the dirty politics, like, and dirty politicians. They've always done things in a particular way, but now there's a new kind of hope coming with Imran Khan, who's coming in from, he was a very successful captain of a cricket team, I think. He took his team to victory, and people suddenly thought, oh, he's just a common man, he's making it big, he's putting the hours in or whatever, and he's making a difference. And I just wonder whether, you know, and obviously the kind of the corrupted powers, they're just trying to stop him, but I wonder whether he's going to succeed, whether it's actually, is it going to be possible to break through the old mold that's been kind of forming for generations?
Okay, so there's also a thing about sports players as well. You had a point,
They've just got rid of him. So Imran Khan, who became president of Pakistan, and they've just got rid of him, and you know, it may have been done in an unfair way, it may have been done in a fair way because it went by vote, but it's hard to say because I haven't been following that. But I think in terms of corruption, how do we do it? I think it's all our responsibilities. And in terms of what you're saying, I agree with some of it, but I think we can't leave it all to people and say, you've got to come out and do this, because I think sometimes politicians have to create opportunities as well. So for us as politicians, as a council, if we didn't create the opportunities for people, for change, it wouldn't happen. If we don't create partnerships for people to work together, I mean, obviously you can take the initiative like Andre was saying, and I think it's great to see what's going on today, and sometimes people are easy to blame. You know, like we were knocking on doors during the election, and someone said to me, oh, you only come here at election time, and I'm like, seriously? You look like you put on a bit of weight. She's a sister-in-law, so I could joke to her. I'm like, who's been bringing you food every week during the COVID lockdown? I've been delivering food to her house for every week during the lockdown, risking my life. And all of a sudden, all she could think about was a phrase that everyone uses. We only see politicians at election time. So I just proved the point to her, because there was a few people there. The point to her is like, look, if I didn't come to your house every week, risking my life during COVID, so sometimes we hear things and we just repeat. We don't actually.
So why do you do it then? If it, you know, you're kind of trying to do a good job and you're getting that response.
We do it. The politicians around this table do it because we love the people. We love our area. We want to see change. We want to be the change. We want to make the change happen. And sometimes you need to hold hands of young people. So it's like, you know, the change I wanted to happen. It wasn't happening by itself, so I used Camden United, I used football to bring together young people from Robert Street, from Drummond Street, from Somers Town. So I can say I led the change. I was a catalyst to the change that's happened that you see here today. It didn't just happen. We made it happen.
So it is down to people to make it happen. I think everyone would agree, more people, we want to get more people trying to drive this change. What kind of changes would we like to see, I suppose? What are these opportunities to create more equality? That's not just a question to you, but to everyone, I think, around the table.
Kaleli wants to say something. What? We've been living.
No singing on Talkaoke, sorry.
I just wanted to.
There's one rule on Talkaoke, no singing.
This is slightly off subject, but I really enjoyed the change that the mayor is bringing with his choice of socks. I encourage you to have a look. I think that kind of shows a really nice kind of touch. So I'd like to appreciate that from everyone.
Okay, well that's kind of bringing a... I just will say to anyone watching, come and join in, because this is a pop-up talk show for everyone to join in. We've got... we're blessed to have some VIPs around the table. We've got a lot of people from the Camden political system. We're finding out why they do what they do. It's very interesting. I think I think it's really interesting to hear about this drive for equality and who can do something to make it happen. Is it down to the politicians? Is it down to the people?
I have to love you and leave you. It's been really great, but we've got to go round and see everyone.
See everything.
So,
Well, come back when you've finished and tell us what you think
thank you,
of
and
it.
like, you know,
yeah.
Keep going, because there's you give a politician a mic and they'll just hold on to it. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm not coming now. But no, thank you, and like, it's lovely to hear people's views.
I mean,
doesn't matter how different it is. You know, end of the day, the best views are the honest ones. They're the ones that are the difficult ones for politicians to answer.
Yeah.
Because that's what we want. We don't want everyone to agree with us, because that gets a bit boring. Sometimes when you have challenges, we actually love challenges because we want to see change.
One final question then. What was the most difficult question you had to answer on your election campaign? What was the hardest question or the hardest kind of point that somebody made?
I mean, I don't think there's been any really tough questions.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like, look, we're not going to have all the answers. Antisocial behaviour is difficult. We walked around with a couple of young people who came to them. They said, look, there's a lot of crime. So we said to them, okay, what do we all need to do to fix it? So we've just left them talking with the police for half an hour. So we'll go back, get feedback. So if there's any challenging questions or challenges come up, we work with the people, because ultimately our residents live here. They know a lot more. And there are issues, and you know, we've got someone living here who has issues with some of the other tenants, the leaseholders. And it's about talking, it's about finding solutions, about working with everyone to get to the bottom of it.
Nadia, I want a final thought from you as well, Nadia. Thank you.
I think the most difficult questions are the common questions, and it's about housing. Housing is the biggest issue, so we always have issues around housing, better housing, people who are homeless who need housing. I think one of the basic things in society that you would expect is a safe, secure roof over your head, and unfortunately that isn't always the case. So we're always, you know, in Camden we're trying to build housing, but obviously it's quite political because you need to borrow money, and we want people to live in adequate and good housing. So over the years, the government's made continuous cuts, so it makes it more and more difficult for us to sort of operate in that way. But what we also do is, with the cuts, the challenges, we also come up with new ideas and through our residents. But I think the biggest issue is the housing crisis, and also lately it was to do with the cost of living crisis and inflation.
Okay. Thank you for that, Nadia. Let's have a final thought from you.
Does it have to be what?
It could be anything at all. This is Talkaoke. This is not question time. Apart from singing, thank you, Paul. The only thing you can't do is sing or have a fight with someone. Apart from that, you're free to any final thought at all. Whatever you want to take this.
No singing.
With no singing. This is not karaoke. I've really got to emphasise that. He's on the edge. Steve is very much on the edge here. But
Final thought. I feel like I need a question posed. I don't really have.
Well, okay, let me just rewind. We talked about equality. We talked about whose responsibility is it to make the change. We talked about the incredible change that we've had in Camden. Nazreen talks about housing and what a big challenge is, how a tough challenge.
I'm
talking about trees as well. We've been talking loads about trees. So it's up to you, wherever you want to take it.
I mean, I'll definitely be back because I can talk for days. So let me get some food and then I'll be back.
I saw the Terminator last night.
I will be back. I think, do you know what? A thought that came to mind when we were talking about this whole corruption thing. And it just literally came to my mind as you were talking about the whole situation in Pakistan, is that I think there are two types of corruption. There's the honest, the blatant, obvious corruption, and I think that's the more honest version. And then the dishonest, covert corruption that we see closer to home, that we're having to constantly decipher and decode, and it's blatantly, obviously corrupt. So I probably would leave it at that and then come back and talk about more corruption.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and thanks for that final thought and for throwing something in.
Honest corruption.
Well, honest corruption's a sort of corruption. It's a preferred type of corruption. Come and get involved in this. You don't have to be corrupt to join. You can be anyone. We've got some new faces. Don't worry, this is electrically safe. We have tested this. Anyway, we're just going to do a quick round of names. So we've got Isabella, we've got a new face over here.
Hi, I'm Timna.
Timna, welcome. And we've got Paul, we've got Margot, we've got Hoya. I'm Mikey. Where do we want to take this conversation? The politicians came and they left.
Politicians always come and leave.
Come and go.
Yeah, the politicians always come and go, but the people are there. So it's the people who make the community, the people make the society. So that's where, we cannot rely on a politician. That's where I always come in and say, I don't expect people to feed me or spoon feed me. I go and get the spoon and feed myself.
Okay.
Come on, God.
How much do we need to rely on politicians? That could be a good one.
But it depends of the societies. It depends of what we need. Within voting the laws and the rules and making us, be organized, things like that. Yeah, I would say yes. Well, distributing so-called money, again, maybe we will turn around and say, look, this community need more or this community need more. But we can all do things for our own selves, Yeah.
Okay. There's a point over here, but also I just want to come and have a seat on the table of chat. We're talking about the community. What does it take to change the community? I know you're working. Can give us a couple of minutes. We've got Margot, we've got Hoya, we've got Isabella, we've got Timna and Paul. I'm Mikey. Come and have a seat. You don't have to talk about your work. You just have to take your rest your pins for a second. Yep.
I've got a question. Do police people mostly eat donuts? Is it actually true?
Do you like donuts? Yes.
Thank you.
We asked that question in Hackney 2 months ago and we got the same answer. Police people do love donuts, all across London, we know that. Where are we going to go with this conversation? Over here, Timna?
I was wondering if it was Hoya. Would you like to be a politician, or why are you not a politician?
Okay, I'm going to ask the same, assuming that you're not a politician, you might be. Why are you a politician? I want to ask
no, but the reason why I ask is because thank you for the beautiful picture with. I love the scenery in my head, like I'm feeding myself. But what I wanted to, So I don't know Camden, I don't live in Camden, but I was wondering if the politicians who, from this council do live here. Are they part of the community?
Okay, they are. Would you be a politician?
No, for me, politics is too big. I cannot be politician, but I can work for my community. That's the difference.
Isn't that kind of being a politician?
No, serving community and being a politician is different. Being a politician, you make the law, you make the rules, you go out there. You have to please everyone. But if I'm serving to serve, not to please, if that makes sense. So I'm a community champion, but I am not a politician and I do not want to be a politician.
Okay. I think that's been made quite.
My vote. Yeah. That gets my vote.
Okay. So, are the best politicians actually those who don't want to be politicians?
That's why we watch the politician. That's why I said we watch them. We let them do what they do. The best. But I do what I do best as well. So the lady as well will do what she does best.
Okay. What do you do best?
What do I do best? I talk. I know, I'm good at talking to people. If I switch that on, I can just talk to anyone about anything really. But what I wanted to say is that you just made me think of maybe who are the people who do make it to the government, to local government, and who get to become politicians. Because, for instance, I've got a friend who's who trained as a lawyer, and then he's not strictly speaking in politics. He works in trade unions, but I can see from the way he talks and analyzes the future, there's a specific way in which he operates, which is very different to the way that I operate. But I do wonder, and the world of politics is made up of people who kind of with that analytical mind. But I wonder. Oh, is that a new flag as well? Thanks for flagging that up, actually. That's our new £240.
That cost us 240 quid, and look at
Unbelievable. We're going to ask for compensation. But I just wonder whether we could flip the hierarchy and get people who are not typically politicians to run the country with lawyers and such. As advisors, just like demote them slightly, use them as advisors, not the main people.
Okay, I mean,
artists in charge.
Have they got too much status? Most people now are focusing on fixing the flag, and they come and have a seat on.
Can I nick a seat? Take
this, take the purple one. Take the purple one.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Take the purple one. Oh. Oh yeah, no, I just dropped in so you could have your ice lolly, and then I never got a chance to come out again. So okay, I'm going to jump out then in that case. I was saying give them the purple one.
Yeah, I tried, but...
Yeah, anyway.
I think Chanel's more comfortable.
It is more comfortable, that's why we've got them as the Talkaoke chairs.
Oh, the mayor, but the mayor picked... I would like to point out that the mayor picked the uncomfortable chair, so he's very selfless. Sorry, you were about to say something on Talkaoke table earlier, but then you had to go. I wonder if you've got any thoughts now.
Not at
the moment. Okay, but you're welcome to sit down on a comfortable chair whenever.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay, well I'm
you jumping out?
Jump out. Ellen's going to jump back in again.
Okay. Oh, hey Max. Oh,
okay.
Right, yeah.
So keep it warm.
Come out,
Let's have a quick recap.
Let's have a okay. So recap is this is still Talkaoke. We started at 1 o'clock. We talked about football. We're talking about football coming home, but women bringing a football home. We talked about whether women are getting paid less than male footballers, and maybe everybody should be paid not very much for football anyway, because is that even a real job? Also, we were talking about growing a tree is like growing a child. If you plant a tree, build a house and create a male heir, does that make you a real man? What makes a real man? And also manhood, what even is that? Actually in London, in Camden, everyone's so open-minded. You can be whoever you want, you can do whatever you want, and it's fine basically. There's no issues in Camden. The mayor said so. There's corruption apparently, but we don't know about that because we only marginally discussed that. Talked about what makes a good politician, what makes a good community champion. Would you like to be a politician? What would you do? We talked about Solero ice cream for a long time, but that was a while back, and that's it. Giving trees names, and what do you do when somebody tells you, when somebody pours their heart out but the story is just so infinitely boring? How do you dress it up in interest? And obviously there's a man wearing a t-shirt with a logo on it. What does the logo say about you? Or the world? Why are you wearing this logoed t-shirt? That's Talkaoke, by the way. Anyone can say anything.
All right, why don't we get around? Let's get around the names. What's your name?
Tony Blair.
Tony Blair.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mikey.
Timna.
Paul.
I'm Margot.
Margot, come and join us. You can eat your food. You can eat your food here. Call this the lunch table.
Max.
And this is Talkaoke. This is a pop-up talk show. I'm wondering if I can get a VIP entrance into this jerk chicken queue. But anyway, we'll come back to that. I know, right? Look, there's so much food around here. All right, yes. So where do we want to take the conversation, Tony? I know that you had something to say about.
I did. Okay. Well, I work for Fitzrovia Youth in Action.
Okay.
I've been working for Fitzrovia for 21 years now.
Oh wow.
So I'm one of the old school.
Yeah.
And watching how Fitzrovia is growing, and to be quite honest, this is probably one of the biggest events with all the partnerships around.
Really? I mean, when you say partnerships, who are the partnerships? I mean, what are they?
They're partners, everyone within Camden.
Yeah.
So different partners within Camden, basically.
And so you've been working in Fitzrovia for the last 20 years. I mean, earlier we spoke quite a bit about how Camden has changed. I mean, what changes have you seen,
Over the years, I would say lack of community, lack of stuff for the young people to go to, basically. Like sports pitches, now it's become a corporate thing where they have to book it to go and use it. So that's one of the biggest changes I've seen.
You're saying there's less freedom for people to play sports?
Yeah.
Right, okay then. Interesting. Margot, and then I'm going to come to you, Matt.
Is Fitzrovia a name of a really posh area of London? What's that about? What? Is it Fitzrovia?
Oh wow.
Doesn't that put people off? It's you're some kind of exclusive youth club. I don't want to go there. I'm too common.
So it sounds posh.
Yeah, it sounds posh.
Is it
sounds posh? It's not posh. I mean, Fitzrovia started only because we wanted to help the young people around the area that lives around that area. Just by starting off by cleaning up all the pitches.
Okay.
We do a planting project over there for all the neighbours and everything. So we work with the neighbours and developing the young people.
So there's a sort of community action Max?
Just talking about pitch and everything there. So I'm originally from South Wales, and I played rugby and football all growing up there. Okay. It's almost a bit of an inverse issue there, which is that you have so much space, so much greenery, with so many pitches, but you just don't have the people, the young people, the enough people to fill out the teams. So what would happen is, unlike London, which I think is great, there are so many teams on top of each other, there, but sort of from grassroots, then you can even see it in professional, there's like 12 clubs here. It's but with us, the issue would be that we'd have all these pitches, but then you'd have to travel an hour to the next to find a team to play. So it's fun, but they do need to be protected, because just hopping on to what happened with talking about women in football, talking about men in football, or there, talking about the positive benefits taking part in sport can do. It's that discipline. It's something to structure your timetable after school. Something positive you can do as well as a young person.
I mean, what part of South Wales are you from?
So I'm from Barry, which is Barry Island, so Gavin and Stacey land there, but the town there. So it's it is. Some people have to live there, you know. It's.
I did go to Pembrokeshire last year, and there was no one around.
That's the very posh part of Wales. That's the north way there. It is. Barry's there. It's all from the old industrial towns where people came in there.
Okay.
But so yeah, keep going.
I mean, does there need to be some kind of exchange where maybe people from London need to go to Barry and like use those football pitches, Mikey, and then I'll come back.
Well, I think that's a very, very good idea actually, because you know we go around the country with this Talkaoke table, and you see, in a way, the problems are the same but different in different parts, and we'd love it if we could mix up those young people and get the ones that we talk to in Lancashire to come down to London and just mix up with the London kids, and the same, and also that for those London kids to get out to the countryside and actually see something that's completely different. I mean, I think it would be fantastic for everybody.
You've been working with Tony. You've been working in the youth services in Fitzrovia for the last 20 years. I mean, has there been opportunities for young people in Camden to go to the countryside? Have you had many people from the countryside come to Camden, and have you seen this exchange happen?
No, what we do, I mean, the only time we do things like that is where we take them on residentials.
Right.
Okay, well, we've been to Wales on a few occasions. It's basically when we take them on residentials. But there hasn't been a swap as per se.
Okay. So, I mean, what are some of the has those residentials, have they been beneficial?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I was just going to ask, just in your personal experience, obviously we have the most affluent football league in the world in this country there, and all that, Premier League, you have the FA. Have you experienced much of a kickback and funding from the FA, from the Premier League at all, in helping get these grassroots pitches? Because that's something, because they keep making more money, they keep doing that, and it is something you could easily kick back, and you actually would benefit the game, it's in their own interest to do it.
I mean, is there enough spreading of the funding when it comes to the Football Association? Do they actually fund smaller pitches? You know, do you see that?
They do, but it's come to a point where in the early days when I first started, the funding was quite abundant, but now there is hardly any funding for football. Okay, I mean, what's happening now is the grassroots game has become more and more expensive because of the fact that you have to now pay coaches. Before, coaches were more voluntary, paying for pitches, etc. So the grassroots games becoming more and more expensive.
Oh wow, so coaches would volunteer in the past?
You had a lot more coaches that would volunteer.
Wow,
but after paying for coaching courses, they're saying, well, if I paid for my course, why not I get paid for it? And that's what's happened now.
I see. Do we need more volunteer coaches?
Well, I think in the end it's going to lead to better footballers. You know, it might lead to football coming home again. It's already come home now recently, but to come home again, because you do actually need some experience and some knowledge to do football coaching. When I played football as a kid, I was coached by volunteers, and they didn't really know that much about football. They knew about football, but they didn't know the techniques. Paul, let's have a.
Thank you for giving a final thought. It's been an honour and a privilege to take part in your conversation. Unfortunately, I have to leave you now.
Let's get a final thought. Before you leave us, let's get a final thought. You joined us when we were talking about manhood and masculinity. I mean, we've moved on from that, but anything you want to leave us with?
No, it's just thank you for allowing me to take part. And
well.
Been a pleasure.
Let us know how it all goes. I mean, so we're talking about football pitches, we're talking about coaching. So you're saying that now that coaches are getting paid, perhaps it's having an impact on the quality of football players? You know, you're nodding your heads. You agree?
I'm eating, but I will stop here.
Yeah, no problem at all. No problem.
The issue we have again, we go back into capitalism, consumerism society.
Yeah.
Well, at certain time, we have local vedette, local stars. You've got football.
Right.
If you look into the historical of football in Britain or in United Kingdom, you had local playing for the country. Now you've got people from all over the world because they pay more, because they earn more, because there is the advertising which comes in. So that's where the humans are getting it wrong. And mainly countries like Britain, for example. If you look into the league champion, for example, how many British people, local, play in the local teams?
Okay then.
So that's where we all get into that. Even the football, even the sport, well, the popular sport has become capitalist. It's money. It's all about money.
So football is less grassroots. It's all about money. I mean, are there any local football heroes? Do you know any local football heroes around? Growing up, do you remember local football heroes? You know, Mikey, and then I'll come to you, Matt.
I mean, I can only really speak about East London and West Ham United, and we've just lost we had one player that was from Beckton, which is in the borough of Newham, and he played the whole time for West Ham.
Yeah.
But back in the day, all the players were from the local area.
Yeah.
And that we've just lost the last one, and West Ham have got 2 new players this season.
Yeah.
One is from France and one is from Italy. So it just backs up what you're saying. In the end, it's not about a local side. I wouldn't mind if it all just went back to how it was in the 1980s with all the local thing. It'd be cheaper as well, a lot cheaper to go and see the...
Oh, right. So
yeah.
Wow, so not only do you have to pay to practice, you know, coaches need to be paid, but it's expensive to actually watch your local football team. And it turns out the local football team, they're not actually local. Come and join us. Come and take us. Are you local to Camden?
I don't know anything about it.
You don't know anything about what brought you here today? Go on, give us 2 minutes of your time. We're a bit empty at the moment. Go on, take a seat. Go. Yeah, we need you. We need you. Where do you live?
I live in Kentish Town.
Oh, Kentish Town. I mean, is that considered local to Camden?
I think so.
Yeah. So is part of is it?
I think Kentish Town is part of Camden.
You tell me. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about, you know, there's no more local football heroes, but who's your local hero? Do you know any local heroes?
Dan Carrier.
Who is that?
The editor of the Camden New Journal. He's fabulous.
What is the Camden New Journal?
So it's a free newspaper, comes through your door once a week.
Yeah.
And Dan really champions local causes. Do you know Dan?
Yeah. Know Dan, yeah.
He's been at the Camden New Journal forever, and he really just... it keeps an eye on local issues and...
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, but do you think we know enough about these local names, you know? We know we don't know who the local footballers are, but are there any other local Camden heroes that we need to know about? So Dan, what's his last name?
Carrier.
Dan Carrier.
I mean, I don't know who this person is, but now I'm intrigued, but not so much about the newspaper. I'm more intrigued by the fact that you said that he looks fabulous. And I wonder how much looks and the way people look has got to do with their charisma. Oh, what he does is fabulous.
He cooks fabulous?
Okay, right. Well, okay, I'm going to bring it to, because obviously I misinterpreted completely what you said, but how much does the looks and the kind of fabulous looks have got to do with people's charisma and what they have to say?
That's
because
really interesting.
Looks really puts you out.
I mean, what impact does looks have on how people are perceived, you know? We just heard about the editor, the founder of the Camden New Journal. Apparently, you know, he looks great. He might cook great as well. Is that part of the appeal? Camden was once the fashion capital, right? Am I wrong? I don't know. Let's get a final thought from you before you leave us. What would the Camden football kit look like? Is that important? You know?
No. Football kit's not important. What's important is the person within that kit, I would say. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, earlier Mikey was saying that, you know, when the England football team were wearing yellow, they were more successful than when they were, oh, okay.
Yeah.
When they were wearing, okay. Hey, I don't know. Margot said that when you know, so I don't know, but let us know how everything goes. There's so much more to talk about when it comes to football. And we've got some new faces around the table. What's your name?
I'm Sarah.
Sarah.
I'm Doug.
Doug. Isabella.
Max.
We got Max.
Mikey.
Timna.
I'm Margot. I'm come and join us. We're talking about football. We're talking about fashion, looks.
Local heroes.
Where did you get the glitter from? Okay, he's texting. Maybe he's sending somebody his glitter face. You've just joined us. Any thoughts? I mean, we were just talking about, Margot just said that, like, you know, how someone does, what impact does someone's looks have on how well they are perceived? Timna?
I think I would use a metaphor of a book. When I go into a bookshop, I'm always like tempted to buy a book, and if there's a good-looking book, I'm more intrigued of like opening the book, but it doesn't say that there's something nice is written in it, and doesn't have to say anything. But I can be attracted by the book.
What makes a good-looking book to you? Yeah.
If you're gonna sort of call books like people, then here in the city, there's so many books to look through that you're never gonna get to the ones with the unattractive covers, are you?
Oh,
Whereas if you're in Wales and there's only like 10 people, then you get to look through all the books in a way.
I mean, you had your hand up, Isabella.
I feel like with the book metaphor and just like in real life with people in general, everyone has different preferences and different, likes and dislikes, and everyone has, like the book that I might be intrigued and that I might find beautiful, you may not, and vice versa. So I think it's definitely about preference.
I mean, what kind of books do you prefer? What books do you find attractive?
I really don't know. I don't read as much as I should, but just in general, I feel like everyone has different.
I mean, what would the book of Camden look like? What would be on the front cover?
I think loads of people that look very different.
So different looking people. Okay, so everyone around the table then.
I would say about books and things in general, talking about preferences, a lot of my friends are like, big philosophy people, big that, they love their old books. They venerate these objects, they do that. I like a book, I got one here, which is the hell kicked out of it. If I can't fit it in my back pocket, if I can't do that, if I can't rip a page, do that, I don't want it. And I think the difference is they want books to be almost like a mausoleum. They want it to be there. I like books to be like a flannel I wring the hell out of.
I mean, Mikey, out of 10, what would you rate this book? The front cover of this book.
You know what? I'm immediately attracted to that book. Because it's about class, style and status in the USA. I think it's a very interesting topic.
USA!
I think it's very interesting. I'm immediately attracted to that book, I have to say.
Hey, he looks like a cool dude. I mean, any thoughts about books? Are you attracted to books,
I like a book, honestly, I will admit, as not being a huge reader, I gravitate towards newer books or nicer books. I'm not, that book probably wouldn't have caught my eyes just because I'm not a reader. I'm not like the type of person who goes immediately for the niche, unread book. I think the question earlier that you're asking about like what Camden would look like as a book, that I've noticed like the styles and the fashions in Camden are not always new though. It's always like a lot of a mix of everything. Like there are a lot of fashionable people, but they don't need the names necessarily to look fashionable, which is quite cool.
Oh right, so although people look fashionable here, are you saying that they maybe are not part of any fashion group, or is that what you're saying?
The the brands. Like, for instance, if you walk around like Kensington, the people there are fashionable as well. It's just a different type of fashion. Sorry.
Interesting. Margot.
What you just said made me think of. I was watching something else, and you know how YouTube just flicks to another video and then another video. It's like, oh God's sake, what am I doing with my life? But anyway, it was Alexa Chung going to Paris, and she's trying to get the Parisian girls look. And this woman who's some kind of like fashion journalist with a British accent, but French, she was like talking her through it. And apparently the trick to fashion. French fashion is that you wear you wear some staples, you wear like high quality brands, but you make them look like they are not brands, so you're not showing off the brand, so you wouldn't have a logo. And apparently French women go to the gym, but they dress up at the gym. They don't go in the gym out, clothes to the gym. They cannot be seen
so they can't
wearing sportswear, which I would find like really annoying actually.
I mean, I wonder what the look is for London. What is the London look,
So I've been working at a menswear clothing brand called Wax London, and their offices are in Camden. So I've been in there doing that, and there's a difference between fashion, there's a difference between style. So fashion is trend, fashion is this sort of collective consciousness where this is in now, this is in now. There, so like your ALD hat, that is in right now. Stuff like that, it is! No, there, and then your other stuff there, it's in. Whereas style is entirely subjective, it is entirely about you. It's why, so this was like, I got off an old lady, it's a women's denim shirt, it's got a crisp, it's awful, but I love it. So,
right.
So, there's, and I think it applies to people as well as that, which is that you can either, there is this collective consciousness of what is objectively good looking, what is objectively that, but individuality and style can always cut through that.
Wow, so you can be in fashion or you can be stylish, but stylish as a person. Oh, okay. Wow.
I mean, I think it's also about fitting in as well. And fitting into a certain group. So, for example, I was at this very posh middle class party in Hackney yesterday, and I didn't fit in what I was wearing.
What were you wearing compared to others?
It just wasn't. It was just some. It was just like it was a vest. It was a pink and blue vest.
Right. Okay.
And it just didn't fit in with what everyone else is wearing. But I think in Camden, it's almost like you only fit in by not fitting in. So it's almost the opposite. So if you wear something to fit in, then you won't fit in.
So that individuality. So maybe we've got some new face on the table, and I'll come to you, Tim. Now you're going to be back. What's your name?
My name is Vi.
We got Vi.
I'm Julie.
Let me say something about Hackney.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't just judge Hackney by one part of it.
No. Talk to us. Are you from Hackney? What do we need to know about Hackney?
Well, where were you in Hackney?
Victoria Park.
Well then, what do you expect?
I mean, what is it about Victoria Park that might be a bit different to other parts of Hackney?
Because it's only upper class and middle class and all them cronies that goes down there.
Oh, okay.
So obviously they will notice him.
I mean, how does Hackney compare to Camden? You're in Camden today.
It's the same.
So it's just the same, yeah? Oh, okay. I mean, what other parts of Hackney should people know about?
Wrigley Market.
What market?
Wrigley.
Wrigley Road Market. What is it about Wrigley Road Market that maybe Camden could learn from? I don't know. What is it about Wrigley Road Market that you like?
Well, they can learn about different type of people selling different stuff. Not only certain things like antique and those rough vintage. That's it, vintage. It's a mixture of everything.
I mean, earlier we were talking about fashion, style. I mean, would you call yourself stylish?
I am very stylish. Although yes.
I would have robbed that hat right off.
Yeah, because I might be old, but I like to dress in the fashion for my age.
Oh,
of course.
What does dressing for your age mean?
Dressing appropriately, not low cut, showing all your bust and everything. No.
Yeah.
You dress with your nice, a bit low, but not too low.
Yeah.
So that men and everybody can see your whole body. Because it's not nice. It's not nice and it doesn't look good.
So are you saying that when you were, lower in age, you know, were you dressing? Were you showing your cleavage?
I know how to present myself from like a very early age until now.
Okay. So you're saying when you were young, you didn't like wear the short skirts and stuff?
I wear many, but not too short because the skirts and the pants that the girls them are wearing, it in their crotch.
Oh.
And you can see all the bum and everything.
So you say maybe now it's a bit too revealing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a bit too revealing because I've got grandchildren. And the way some of them dresses, I have to tell them off because it's not appropriate for me, the grandmother, to see the way they dress.
Right.
About other people outside? They're drawing attention to themselves.
Yeah. So it's the unwanted attention, Max, and then I'll come to you, Margot.
Just talking about again like Wrigley Market in Hackney. When you first come up to London, because I moved to London probably about a year ago now.
Yeah.
The first like street market you go to is Portobello Road because that's the one that's most known that's there. That is somehow they've managed to do it. They've managed to get a middle class street market. They do that there, and everything there is like very expensive. Everything there is upmarketed. You don't get that sort of car boot sale vibe you want from it.
Yeah.
You know, your jackets, they sell jackets there for £50-60 out of some, and it's just. And you can use that to sort of extrapolate it to all of London. You have very similar things all around, but they're pitched at different classes and they're pitched at that. And because everybody's so stacked on top of each other, they're usually held in the same places or look very similar to other one there. And unless you know about it, unless you live here, you won't know, okay, this is a market for people who are like me, this is a market for people who have more money than me, this is people masquerading as either higher class or lower class than they actually are, all of that.
I mean, where is your market then? I'll think about it and I'll come back to you. And when it comes to Isabel, Margot, and then Mikey?
I feel like this is something that we talked about previously in another one of these, where we was talking about how most things, especially like Portobello Road's market, the reason why I feel like nowadays they're priced so high and everything is so overly expensive is because they're more targeted to tourists. Since we're getting so many nowadays, that's why everything's so expensive. Camden, everything is just so overpriced when it used to not be that way. They're building stuff around tourists, that way it accommodates to tourists. Like, you know, those new container things, it's look pretty and appealing to attract more people. And it's sort of also affecting us as people that have, you know, grown up here, like local people. We can't afford anything that we literally are right next to because it's accommodated to tourists.
So really and truly, London, a lot of these markets now are for the tourists, so that's why they can get away with charging, you know, £60 for a coat. I mean, Margot, I know you had some points there.
I've got two quick points. One, I've got a flatmate who's in her mid-50s. She's got a petite body shape. I'd like to ask the fashion panel over there, is it okay for her to wear a play suit, short play suit made of toweling fabric? Because she thinks no. But I think yes. And the second question was, I forgot what the second question was.
Let's get a final thought from you guys before you leave us. I know you were nodding your head to Portobello Road, so...
Well, so to get back at favourite markets, I used to live near Greenwich, and now I moved to Hackney, but I used to always go to this market in Blackheath, and it was like a 30-minute cycle from Greenwich. You can't get there by tube, and it was definitely like different atmosphere than any market like in central London. Like you go up to the people, you talk about their produce or like the stuff they sell.
So it was a fruit and veg market.
Yeah, but also like stuff, you know.
Okay. So that was your market. That was your market of choice.
Yeah, it was more like I would say relaxed as well.
Okay. So maybe the markets in central London aren't so relaxed, but you're saying Blackheath is. All right, where to go? All right, let's all get down there. I mean, there's no tube, but, you know, thank you very much. What about yourself? Any final thoughts? Anything you want to leave us with?
Not really, honestly. It was really cool to hear from all you guys. Honestly, I love your style. I noticed that the second you sat down, love it. It's classy, but still fashionable. But yeah, it was just really cool to hear from everyone, and great conversation about books as well.
Thank you for joining us. Let us know how everything goes.
Of course, we're just going to probably take a wander.
Perfect. See you soon. Enjoy. All right, so you put a question on the table about, you know, is there an age limit to wearing play suits?
Yeah, and like short things, because also once we were talking, like we were doing a project, we were talking to some ladies in Hackney, and they were saying, you know, when I was young and I used to go to Shubins, or Shubs as they are now known, around Hackney, they used to make their own dresses, and they were short, or like not short even, they had like the splits, like really,
wow.
do you remember? Right, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, no, that's what we did, but we made it ourselves, so that's the difference.
Right.
And I was like,
okay,
wow.
Then. Okay.
So, you know.
Mikey, and then I'm going to come to you, Max.
Well, I just want to go to the point about tourism. It's spoiling markets, because I'm from Hackney, and I actually live near Broadway Market, which has become very, very expensive. But I very much enjoy it because it is like a fashion parade.
Right.
There's a lot of beautiful women there wearing the latest styles, and I never buy anything there because it's too expensive, but I still enjoy the market. I go there, maybe have a coffee with my friends, and we just sit and watch. We just sit and watch. You know?
Yeah. I mean, do you get any style tips?
Well,
from
I
some
watch
of
the women, but he's not interested in women. So
I mean, do you get any style tips from some of the men?
I don't. You know, I don't really believe in style tips, as you can probably tell.
Okay.
I think you just wear whatever is fun. Wear whatever is fun.
So wear whatever is fun. All right, Max.
To expand on that, the overriding rule in dressing is wear what you feel good in, because what you feel good in will let you be more charismatic, will let you do all of that, will make you feel more of yourself. Look, this is a woman's shirt right now. I'd wear dresses if I didn't have these shoulders.
Yeah.
The shoulders are too wide, I can't fit in them.
I mean,
but there's nothing wrong with that. Go on, big man. But the point I'm making is, so if she wants to wear a play suit, if she doesn't want to wear it, because she doesn't feel good in it, she probably shouldn't. But if she puts it on and thinks, yes, I am ready to present this to, and the thing is with London compared to Wales, there's not a lot of people in Wales.
Oh.
So people will know you, people recognise you. There's so many people here.
Yeah.
My threshold to taking notice of someone is now so low, unless they were literally got hit by a car 2 foot from me, I'm not going to notice them.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. There is such freedom in being so many people.
Right.
So again, if she wants to wear it, if you do it, and that's the guy, and then you wear what you feel good in, and it's amazing. There's so many people. There's the freedom in your sort of slight insignificance on the street.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you're saying the fact that in London there's more people means that everyone kind of blends in, so you don't need to worry so much about how you're dressed, and wear what feels good. What makes you feel good?
I feel good when I wear nice, colourful clothes with the latest fashion, but over my knees, not on top.
Okay, so you're not going to wear
too short. No, I wouldn't wear too short.
I think it would suit you a skirt this short.
Yes, of course, because I've got a nice figure and everything. Yes, of course. I do. I'm praising myself because I know it's true.
Well, why hide it? Just because you're a particular age, you know?
No, I think you should have respect for yourself as well, and for your family and your friends.
So it's about how you dress should really, you know, it's about respect, having respect for yourself.
Yeah.
Interesting. What clothing makes you feel good?
No idea.
No idea. Okay, I mean, it's interesting that, it's an interesting question.
I'm just kind of exploring something in my mind. I was recently doing, I met with some people, and one person was, this girl was wearing a hijab. I was like, no, I just like dressing modestly.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, so maybe I'm dressing immodestly. It's just like that kind of use of word made me think, if she's dressing modestly, then if someone is not dressed like her, does that make them immodest? Because immodest is not a good word, right? I mean, it kind of implies, you know, I'm immodest, that's cool. We don't tend to think that unless maybe something's changed. But I just wondered, that kind of use of...
language, you know. What impact does that have on how you feel as well? Isabella?
I definitely think that people's views on being modest are different, and it varies depending on the person and their views. So like what I may find modest, you may not find modest. It's again like everyone's different points of view.
What do you find modest, and what's modest dressing to you, or how do you dress to make yourself feel good?
I don't know. I don't know, but like for me, I don't really mind what other people wear. It doesn't really affect me, you know, as long as...
Do you have like a favourite item of clothing?
Probably just jeans. They're just statement. You can wear them with
Yeah. So jeans, that's
very basic
choice.
piece.
You know what? I can see that there's a lot of badges on your is that a fashion statement, all of these badges?
Because I support a lot of charities.
Right.
That's why I have all these badges. And I used to work for NHS many years ago. So this is my daughter's, but she gave it to me.
So London Cycling Campaign.
And everything. I just buy them when I see
cycle?
them. I would like to, but not on the main road, in the back streets.
Okay, so
it's good for me. It's good for my health.
So you do
because
cycle?
of my health. Because I've got osteoporosis, and so I need to exercise and things like that. So the bicycle will be good because the doctors told me I should exercise.
Yeah.
But I can't. I said I can't ride on the road, so they said go at the back streets.
Yeah,
but it's to find a bicycle that I can afford. That's where the problem comes. You don't know anybody will have a nice bicycle to give away or selling cheap. You could get in touch with me.
I mean,
you know what? Earlier we were talking. Today we've been talking a lot about sports accessibility in Camden. Earlier, was it Isabella? No, I think it was Rebecca that was saying that there's not enough opportunities for like young girls to play sports in the area. And then also we had Tony who was saying that now a lot of the sports pitches you have to pay to use them. Is there enough opportunities, or for people who are older in age to engage in sports? Should there be more opportunities? A place where you can get free bicycles.
No, I know they have a place somewhere in Camden that you could get free bicycle, but the bicycle that they have are electric and they're very heavy, and I cannot push them because I've got the arthritis all in my hands and my shoulders, so I need the ordinary, the old time
push
ones.
bikes.
Yes.
Right. That's interesting. I mean,
does anyone have a free bike? Sorry, what's your name again? Vi. Does anyone have a free push bike available for Vi here?
Possibly, actually. I've got one sitting in my flat.
Right.
But yeah, I just need to fix it up a little bit because it got thrown away. But I do think that, I just want to go to the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, is trying to improve air quality and stop people from driving.
Yeah.
But where are the alternatives? Where are the free bicycles or the electric cars?
Yeah.
All this stuff. It should actually be, instead of just saying, right, we're going to charge, it's easy to charge people money for driving like a noxious vehicle in London, but it's much more difficult to provide the alternative, which is electric cars or, bicycles. I think there should be a free bicycle scheme if you really want to encourage people to be more environmentally friendly.
Should there be a free bicycle scheme, and what would that look like?
Well, I think London sort of stands alone in Europe as such a major city that has so many cars and so many personal cars. If you look at Amsterdam, if you look at, to a lesser extent, Paris, or look at any of sort of the Nordic countries there, everybody cycles. Everybody cycles, and they all cycle very similar bikes because they're either incredibly cheap to get, so they're subsidised, or there are it's like a benefit you can apply to get one. Then it's very easy to get. And it does just benefit everyone. It benefits air quality. It actually benefits people economically because if they're not spending money on a car, they have more money to sort of spend in sort of the local area. Also, it's a case of keeping a population healthy. And it really is. And it's not hard to paint a new white line on a road to whack a cycle lane in there. And there are quite a lot in the centre anyway. But there are ways of doing it. But I do think this a way of either having heavily subsidised bikes or anything there. And also, more places to lock them up. More places, because you have railings like this there. You get outdoor railings, but I mean actual just staffed, like just an indoor shed you can throw them in.
Okay, where you can, so
because the first thing when I started to cycle in, the first thing that was said to me, by people who don't cycle by the way, but first said to me is, it's going to get nicked, it's going to get nicked. So you spend money on a lock there, and I just think if you do have more cycle lanes, subsidised bikes, and ways for people to put them in it somewhere, people want a cycle.
So there's just not enough money being invested into cycling in London. And what about yourself? You said that you don't feel safe cycling on the main streets as well, so...
Speaking of cycling, makes me think of recycling. I wonder whether it's time to recycle some of the hosts. If they want to be recycled, obviously, because there's no pressure here.
It's quite a short session, so in a way it's just getting everyone a taste of the middle of the hole.
I mean, hey, who else wants to jump in?
I think you wanted to jump in, didn't you, Margot?
I mean, I do wonder if I can get like a little VIP treatment to the jerk chicken. I mean, I don't really want to be queuing.
What do you mean a VIP? Is there a big queue for it?
There's a big queue, yeah. There's a big queue.
Well,
it's all right. It's no. I can't do that to to you.
We need you here anyway to keep keep the important points of conversation.
Yeah. All right then. Okay, so I'm gonna jump out. Guys, keep the table warm. Please stay. Please stay.
Okay. Well, all right. I'm just gonna do a quick summary of what we talked about so far. Hang on. We need to get a final. We need to get a final thought from you. Let's get a final thought from you.
Sorry. I just want everybody to live in peace and love each other and share our knowledges, because we all have different knowledge from different jobs that we've done. And everything, be happy. Don't be miserable and cause problems. Look after each other, as I said.
Keep an eye.
Love each other.
Look after each other and love each other. All right. God, that's really some words of wisdom there at the end of the day. All right.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to wait for you to come out before I jump in, because otherwise it's going to get a bit too tight in the old middle of the table. But welcome, if you're wondering what this is a changeover of Talkaoke hosts. This is a Talkaoke table. Thank you for joining, by the way. And thank you for being here, Isabella. You've been really great, keeping us going. Thank you to Ellen in the middle and Mikey on the outside. Steve, you can come back in. You are not banished. You are welcome to come back, and we can take this conversation in any direction whatsoever. If you're kind of lingering on the outside, come and have a sit down for 2 seconds. Literally 2 seconds of your time. You may learn some wisdom from others. Hello, are you fashionable? Is your t-shirt like in right now with fashion? We were talking about fashion earlier. Do you feel like you're fashionable?
Yes.
Okay, what tips could you give other people around this table who are less fashionable?
Well, what you want, it's up to them.
All right, so does your kind of outfit give you confidence? Is that what it is about?
Yeah.
Okay, right, what do you think of the styles around this table? Any favorites, any kind of like improvements needed?
I like all of them.
Wonderful, let's hit that applause button there. Thank you very much. What's your name, by the way? Sorry.
Tiana.
Tiana, and?
I'm Brian.
Brian.
Megan.
Megan.
Hannah.
I'm going to spin around.
This transmitter is on its last legs because people keep on dropping it.
I will not drop it anymore. I just got
anyway, my name's Mikey.
Thank you, Mikey.
I'll disentangle it as well.
Elam.
The last time I looked, my name was Steve.
Okay, still Steve. That's good. That's reassuring. And
Isabella.
And I'm Margot, and this is Talkaoke. We've got some familiar faces kind of like walking around. This is a pop-up talk show talking about fashion. Are you guys fashionable? Do you feel fashionable? I mean, to me, you look pretty fashionable.
I was going to get a tattoo, you know.
Yeah, is anybody getting tattoos here? Steve, what is it about the tattoos? Did you get one?
No, I haven't got one yet. I was on my way to one when I started singing some songs, so...
Okay, so tattoos, I mean, is that something that you consider?
I mean, there are tattoos right there?
Yeah.
I was considering it, yeah. I'm curious about it, but there's a lot of people right now, so I'm going to wait to...
Right, okay, so you just wait for your time. Like, what kind of tattoos would you like? I mean, what about here? Like, tattoos, yes, no? What kind of tattoos would you get?
I mean, henna tattoo, yeah.
Henna tattoo?
But because of my religion, I can't really have tattoos.
Okay, so is it like specific shapes you're not allowed, or no tattoos whatsoever?
Just in general, like the permanents and stuff like that.
Okay, okay. What tattoos? I mean, what about you? I mean, are you into tattoos, or is there something holding you back?
No, I am into tattoos. I was planning to get one, but then I backed out because I got too scared.
Okay, was it a henna tattoo or was it a real one?
A real one.
Okay, is having tattoos like a scary thing? Anybody here has got any tattoos? They can share some tips on how to handle pain.
I just wanted to say that actually it's not just Islam, but all Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism and Islam, or actually tattoos are not actually, you're not supposed to have a tattoo.
Okay,
because it's about kind of adorning the body which is created by God. So it's almost like saying you're not respecting the creation of God in all of those. But also actually weirdly I think there's another religion where you're not supposed to have tattoos as well. I can't remember which one now, so I'll just shut up.
Okay, so maybe we can brainstorm that one.
You're using the word Christianity lightly, aren't you?
Is there an issue with using the word Christianity? I mean, Christianity is a heavy word, is a light word. Do you have any tattoos?
Not yet.
Oh, you're going to get one. All right. Okay, cool. Well, show us how it comes out. Okay, so don't have tattoos. In Abrahamic traditions, religions, having tattoo is, I don't know, defaming your body. I'm going to say the temple just because I've heard that before. But I mean, are there any things that we can do to our body to enhance our respect for the body? What can we do?
Piercing. Body piercings.
Okay, do you have any piercings?
I'm not telling you. I do.
Okay, you can show, you don't have to show either. Equally, we've got new faces around the table. This is Talkaoke, which is a pop-up talk show. That's really what it is. And it consists of people just talking to this microphone. Are you offering your chair? Yeah. You know what? Don't worry about it because Mike is on a hunt for chairs. So we're just going to get some chairs. Don't worry about it. And maybe...
Anyways, I'm going to look around a bit more.
All right, why don't you give us your final thought? Where are you going to and what are you kind of doing? What brings you here anyway?
Oh, I'm volunteering here as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people volunteering?
From what I've seen, yeah, there's quite a lot just walking around here. I was actually just looking the silent disco and I just approached to see this mostly.
Okay, so it's quite the opposite to silent disco, but I mean, are there any kind of highlights, tips on what to see, what to get involved, any volunteering opportunities you'd recommend?
I mean, join FYA.
What's that?
The 5th Store of Youth in Action, and it's a really good youth club, youth-led little thing, organization we have. We do events, Christmas events, summer events, they do things like mental health courses, and they have girls, some men's club or something like that. So if you're interested in that, is FYA, 5th Store of Youth in Action. If you ever want to join, just come to us.
I'm just kind of looking at the demographic around this table, kind of like age groups around this table. I mean, will these guys, I think maybe, would they be able to join, or is it like age specific?
I'm not exactly sure of that, but it's more towards like young people, since there's the young people that actually like model the things, I suppose.
Yeah.
It depends on the...
Age is just the...
Oh my God, everybody wants to talk now, don't they? Okay, well, you can't leave, obviously, that's a given, but we've got something that you want to throw in?
So, yes. Okay, wait, quick. Ellie wants to make an announcement.
Okay, Ellie, you making an announcement.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I love Talkaoke. I'm so glad how busy it's been. Just a quick announcement to say that the last 2 dance groups are going to be on over at Old Diorama. The last 2 dance groups, if anyone wants to join. No, dance, not dads. Sorry, I'm from the Midlands, and we say dance, because it doesn't have an R in it. We're in the Midlands, Birmingham, and then I moved to Lincolnshire. But I sound like I'm from Kent because I lived there for a long time too.
Okay, so dance groups, not dads groups.
Yeah,
if you want to go to dad group, it's a different festival elsewhere, not right here.
But love you all,
welcome.
And I will come back before we end. Thank you, Talkaoke.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for this announcement. And now back to you.
Going back to ages, we cater to 6 to 24-year-olds, but advertisement. Wednesday we do community champions, Regent's Park community champions, and that's from any ages. It's our welcome, so it could be old, young, whatever you identify as. But yeah.
Okay, anybody here identifying as old or young? But before I get you to tell me this, or something else, because this is Talkaoke, you can take this in any direction you want. I'm going to get some new names. We've got some previously existing names, but I'm just going to go around anyway.
My name's Megan.
Megan.
Hannah.
Aisha. Sagal.
Mikey.
Timna.
Jackie.
Steve.
Isabella.
And I'm Margot, and this is Talkaoke. So people, basically it's up to you. The Talkaoke works in such a way that you decide on the direction of the conversation. We have been talking about youth clubs. There are opportunities to get involved depending on whether, it doesn't matter whether you feel old or you are old or young. Do you feel old? Do you feel young? Like, that's the question on the table, Mikey.
I think when you get to my age, which is 48, you can feel young and old at the same time.
So what was the term for that? Because we were talking about words before. It's like, are you yond or are you...
I'm young and old at the same time.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't have to be squeezed together. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay.
Middle age, I suppose you call it.
That was a bit contrived there. Okay. What was that, Jackie?
So that relate to that. I feel either 20 or 80 depending on the day.
Okay. So how are you feeling today? Was it kind of ageometer telling you today?
I'd say pretty young today. It's nice.
Pretty young? I mean, is there anything in particular that makes people feel young today? I mean, yeah, Timna?
I would say good mood.
And good mood.
Community helps, yeah. Good community, good company.
Okay.
Nice weather and sunshine.
Okay, right. So nice weather, community, whatever else makes you feel young.
I just think, in a way, what young people don't realise is that old people actually need the young people to make them feel young. But actually, young people get a really bad deal because we give them very little money, we don't give them any space, any housing, any say. But we still need them around us to make us feel young and just that there's a future.
So are you feeling used by the older people?
Yeah, I was
instrumentalized to make them feel better?
Yeah, I was going to say, because the majority of the workforce is obviously pretty young, and then we get like the worst deal out of anything, really low wages, no housing. So, capitalism is not great, is it? That's, I think, the main takeaway.
Okay. Aisha, what do you think about this? Is capitalism something that do you kind of know what capitalism kind of does?
No.
Okay, somebody explain capitalism to Aisha, please.
No, you mentioned.
No, young people who've got all the knowledge.
Yeah, so I mean, capitalism is just the system that we work in. So you are essentially, you're paid for your time, and it's not a great system.
Do you feel like you've got a bit of a handle on capitalism?
Yeah. I don't mind it because I'm young and I have no responsibilities, so.
Okay, so maybe if we cared a little bit less, had a little bit less responsibility, older people, maybe you'd be just a bit more chilled out. How old are you feeling? I mean, are there days when you're feeling older or younger?
No, I feel 12.
12, consistently 12, right. I mean, there's a laughter coming from yourself here, Hannah. I mean, are you feeling old or young?
You know what, because I work with young kids, I feel old.
You feel old?
I feel old.
I understand.
So when I hear like they're 10 and 11, I'm like, wow, like I'm 8 years older than you.
Do you feel the age gap?
I feel the age gap and it's pretty sad. So time's flying.
Right.
It's okay.
What about you, Megan? Do you sometimes feel the age gap? I mean, are there any kind of people around this table that make you feel the age gap?
Nah, like I don't know. I feel like how I should feel. Do you get me? I don't ever feel old and I don't feel like young. It's when like my memories on my phone comes back. It was like 5 years ago today. That's when I feel really old.
Okay. So it's just when we see the kind of memories on our phones.
It's up too high.
This was up too high. I mean, okay. So you feel you feel your age. You feel fine. You were gonna get a tattoo, which maybe. Do you feel like this is the right time to get a tattoo?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Right, not yet. Wait a minute.
We were having a Talkaoke conversation about tattoos, and what the panel decided, this is about 10 years ago, is that if you're like under 18, you should only be, like 16 to 18, you should only be allowed to get your feet tattooed. And then like 18 to 21, you can have anything on your lower leg. And then gradually, as you get older, you can get like up higher parts of your body tattooed until you have to be like over 55, over 60 to get your face tattooed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
Unless you're a Maori, of course.
What would that mean? Like, what does it mean?
Well, Maoris, they're indigenous to New Zealand, and they have body tattoos like Japanese people. They get it done with bamboo, and you have like the tattoo dragon or something like that. Your whole body's tattooed.
So it's a cultural kind of thing.
Manhood, yeah.
Right, a mark of manhood. Well, funny enough, Steve, we have been talking about manhood before. I mean, what do you girls think? I mean, does manhood have to be manifested in some kind of a way, like a tattoo? I mean, what makes a man a man? I mean, that's one of the questions, yeah?
I mean, I have a younger brother, and it's always weird to hear about how, like, watching on the internet, it's like, oh yeah, to be a man, you have to behave in like a specific way, and I feel like young boys are really pressured to like put out like a very, very insane performance. I mean, compared to women, it's crazy. I could not do some of that stuff that like people are like, oh, you have to. I mean, it's like emotional vulnerability, like having to be stoic and like protective 24/7. There are a lot of expectations that shouldn't be there.
Okay, so maybe that's just it's just a bit complicated. It's a bit too hard to do. So why do men have to do it? What do you think, Isabella? Do you agree?
I feel like men and women both have set unrealistic expectations, especially on things like social media. But I feel like with men in specific, they have less. There's less, I guess, maybe like awareness, and they have less help. I feel like as women and on social media, there are other women that can support. We can support each other, and there are things like, you know, if we feel insecure about something, there's, you know, a remedy or a routine, a cream, you know, anything, and there's like tools and stuff. Whether if a boy has an insecurity, there's less of that, and there's more like suck it up and deal with it, rather than here is what you can do, you know.
So women are better, in your view, in sharing tips on how to...
And we just have more of that. So like if, you know, we don't like the way our hair looks, we can always, you know, go and, you know, do whatever. We have like products for it, where I feel like boys don't as much.
So maybe options that are a little more limited for men. I mean, Timna, you've not said anything for a little while.
Yeah, I think from what Isabella just mentioned is I think that women are more used to having like this kind of feminist point of view, or thinking, okay, we have to fight for equal rights. And I think that the men are also suffering from the patriarchy. It's not that, let's say, a mainstream thought, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, I was just trying to entice these men to come and join and give us some more input. Yes, Steve?
But not all men are masculine, and like not all women are feminine. And then you could have a Jaws, happy balance. You know, maybe I'm a little bit feminine sometimes. I don't care.
Okay.
Maybe I'm very butch sometimes when I need to be, you know. I'll get that back for you, darling.
All right, thank you, love.
Can I ask for a big favour? While you're on the conversation?
Yeah, go on, you can say it on the mic, actually.
So basically, I've got this card here, and it says one thing you love about the community and one thing you'll change about the community.
All right.
And that could be a topic to discuss as well.
Okay, so I mean, you're welcome to stay on the table and like get this going. Just see if there's any pull in this subject, because we've been actually talking about masculinity, femininity. It's actually quite hard, says Isabella, for men to get any help or show their vulnerability, because there isn't enough kind of support. Women are much better at that. We were talking about being butch, being female. I mean, is that something that applies to girls as well? Like, yeah?
I mean, so obviously with like the whole feminist movement, as Isabella said, it's a lot easier for women. Like there's a lot of support online. Feminism is a very, very mainstream thing, and it's pretty much geared towards women. And obviously there are unrealistic expectations, but there's also a very tight-knit support system that's like, oh well, you don't have to have long hair to be a woman, you don't have to be super slim, and that's become a part of our normal society now. But with men, most of the stuff that they're seeing online, it's like they have that, I mean, what are they called again? The red pill, blue pill, like pipeline, basically. So like either young men aren't happy with themselves, they're insecure, and then they see like 50 videos online about like, oh yeah, you're insecure because women don't like you, and you're insecure because you're unfit, and you have to go out and work 50 hours, work out in the gym 50 hours a week, and like you have to treat women like objects to sort of get that masculinity that they might be feeling they don't have.
Okay, so you have given us so many subjects, and it's just kind of slightly blew my mind, but I'm just going to pick one or maybe two out of this. So are women absolutely crucial for men to feel secure or insecure? Because you said like, oh, it's kind of like caught in that kind of, what do women think about you? Should you feel secure? Should you feel insecure? And what about men who are feeling feminine? Like, what about that? I mean, I'm gonna come to you, Jackie, because I feel like maybe you've got some opinions, or maybe you don't. Maybe you want to change the subject entirely. But what are your views on this? Feel free to grab the mic as well, if you wish.
Well, I think one of the things is that the patriarchal system perpetuates itself. So it's a taught thing. It's also institutionalized. It's pervasive. It is. So what that does is like, you know, the whole thing you hear to grandfathers like, you know, suck it up, and you know, you don't need therapy, and go be a man, and go do this type of job or the military or something like that. And then it keeps them out of doing creative things or exploring like who they are, or even dealing with feelings, and then stuff gets bottled up, and so you basically then create more patriarchal people who then do the same thing to women and other men and everything else. So it just keeps it pervasive. You got to, break the wheel, break the cycle, kind of thing.
Okay, so it's like men are slightly stuck in a cycle. I kind of want to get a perspective of this side of the table. I mean, like, first of all, patriarchy. What does that mean to you? Do you know what this means? Or maybe someone can explain? No, okay, patriarchy. Somebody needs to explain this because some people around the table don't know what this is. Isabella, are you confident explaining what patriarchy is?
No.
Okay, what about yourself?
I feel like I've been talking. Hannah, do you want to explain?
Hannah, I feel like maybe you've got some intel. You have been...
I say short answer, probably society just run by men and for men.
Society run by men. I mean, like, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like a society is run by men? Maybe it's not, actually.
No.
No, it's not. Okay.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Do you not see like men in power, or do you see more women in power? Why is it that you feel like? Do you think that our society is very, very balanced now, and women get the same opportunities as men? You don't think that?
Nope.
So why is it not patriarchal?
I don't know.
Okay, but it's an interesting question about opportunities. I mean, like, are there enough opportunities for men and women also to find out about what is actually going on? Mikey.
But I mean, I think it's also things like everything is designed for men. Like, only recently did they come up with a spacesuit for women to go into space. Before then,
what's the difference?
Well, just women have got different shaped bodies, so.
There's the shiwi now.
There's a shiwi now. So, but things are designed more for men than for women, and it's everything, and like men is then the default, and I think that's also a sort of element of the patriarchy, that everything is designed around men's needs, and it's not just about men. It's also about diversity. It's about like the pale male style. So look at this face. This is what things are designed for, like the pale male stale look.
Okay.
And then everything else has to fit around that. That to me is a little bit about what patriarchy is as well.
Okay. I'm going to press this one. I would also like to put this question to the table. I mean, is Camden a female-friendly borough? I'm just curious. Is it good for women? Is it? Yeah, you say yes?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of female-led, like a lot of people in our government spaces are female. Like, I know so many women who do amazing things around Camden, the community service area. Hannah and like the community service teams like have loads of women. I feel like it's very inclusive and they think about this stuff a lot.
Hannah?
Kind of agree, but that's like sessional staff. But in terms of managers and CEO, majority of them is men, but one.
Okay,
so experience. I feel like it shows. I feel like we're in like a token system, and like it's a tick box, and like obviously we have a certain amount of females, but men are still in power.
Okay, so yes, there are women doing amazing things on the ground, but how come the managers are still men? I mean, do you feel that? Do you feel like there's a lot of great women, but their boss is ultimately a bloke?
But they could be camp.
Do you find that? This is Talkaoke. You can stay anonymous also, but tell us about your experience. Have you got a male boss? Okay, maybe later. I mean, what do people think about this? Tim, now you had your hand up earlier, but I don't know if your point is...
Yeah, it's a bit related to what you've just mentioned. I just wanted to say, for me, patriarchy also means man saying, basically, Jesus saying other people what they should do. Jesus, yeah.
Right, sorry, what was your point apart from Jesus? Dairy?
That for me, patriarchy means that men explain other people and also women what they should or should not do. And I think this comes back to the managing and CEO.
Has that been your experience? Have you been explained something that you know about by a man?
Yes. I think already almost 10 years ago, I think my old boss tried to explain me how a printer works. Now do you say printer? Yeah. So
called mansplaining.
Okay, so we've got what's
That's called mansplaining.
Okay, so finally maybe we got to the point of that. I mean, is mansplaining just something? I mean, can anybody explain what mansplaining is? But not a guy, ideally. And is knowing how a printer works, is that a common knowledge? Yeah?
I think mansplaining is when like a guy.
I think a lady is talking. You gotta listen, yeah. Jesus Christ.
I'm
Jesus.
explaining to the man.
Okay, thank you.
Mansplaining is just when men think that like as women you're like somewhat inept and think that you don't know simple things, so they explain it to you, you know, like if you're like a child or if you're, you know, stupid.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Steve, I mean, how do you feel about being a poster boy for mansplaining in Camden?
In Camp Town. I love it.
Okay, great. Well, you know, turn your flaw into a positive.
I was having to think about mansplaining, and I do think it isn't a phenomenon, but I think there's also womansplaining as well.
What is?
Because no, I do think as well there is like womansplaining, and that, you know, it's not just men that do that mansplaining, explaining something that somebody already knows. Women do it too.
Okay, I'm just gonna bring in Megan. I mean, Megan, do you feel like you sometimes womansplain? Like, literally, there's no other way. You have to womansplain something to a bloke who just doesn't get it.
I don't think so. Like, give me an example when a woman when a woman does it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mikey, can you give an example and I'll come to you? When was the last time you got womansplained something?
This morning, when I didn't do the washing up.
Right.
And like this washing up has got to be done, so I did it. I can see the washing up there. It's been done. In fact, I said, oh, thanks for doing the washing up. And the response I got is, this washing up has got to be done, so I went and did it. You could do it too. I know all these things, but what am I'm just trying to say thanks for doing the washing up. That was it, and the response I got was, this washing up's got to be done, so I went and did it. Isn't that not womansplaining?
Okay, is that womansplaining? Yes, you're bursting to...
I completely disagree, because I think that like mansplaining is an effect of men perceiving women to be inept in some sort of way, right? So, but what you're trying to say is that women perceive men as inept, therefore they feel the need to point out what seems to be obvious, right? And I think that might be an effect of, like, I was talking to my mum about it, but a lot of the time men, to do with like small things like house chores, do this, like, what's it called again? When you pretend to be really, really bad at it, it's like performative something. Yeah, that's my brother. Like, he literally stands there and goes, oh yeah, I've never washed a pot before in my life, when he cleans every day. So, but yeah, no, it's...
Okay, so you're giving us quite a lot. Like, so men, can you just please stop pretending you can't do washing up or you don't see it needs to be done? I'm gonna give a mic to you.
There's no such thing as womansplaining or womansplaining. It's called post-its.
Post-it.
It says nobody does the washing up, but somebody should, but nobody ever does.
Passive aggression. Okay, right. I also would like to welcome a new face to the table. Give us your name.
Miriam.
Miriam. Yeah, Miriam, do you have any views on this? Have you ever had to womansplain something to a bloke who's just so useless? No. You just surround yourself with men who just know what's going on. They're like not useless. Excellent. Right. Okay, Timina.
For me, mansplaining is also when actually men take more space than they should get, and I don't think that all men do it consciously, but for example in the tube it's really just and this is manspreading, and this is like just like I mean, we all have these seats, and it literally tells us how much space we get now on the tube. That doesn't mean that you should like touch the other person on the other side, and that's true.
Okay, so do you ever feel like you want to, like, have you ever challenged what did you call it, manspreading? Yeah, manspreading. Have you ever challenged manspreading? Have you spread more than a man just to make a point?
See, my brother's quite bad with that on the train. My brother's quite bad with that on the train, and so I always tell him off and like, come on, like, fix up, like, why are you doing that? But I haven't challenged like strangers because stranger danger, innit?
Yeah. Okay, stranger danger. I mean, is this true? I mean, are we just like in Camden? Is it like quite a thing to do to challenge a stranger? I mean, who had a hand up? Somebody had a hand up. Would you challenge a stranger, Timna?
Yes, but it depends on the situation, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. I think when I feel like kind of comfortable and safe, I would do it, but not in a tube by night, for example. Yeah.
Okay, so just assess the risks. I mean, is it easier for men or women to challenge strangers? I mean, do we even have to do it, or?
100%. Like, it's easier for men to challenge other people. It is. Compared to women, it is. Because you need to realise women need to take precaution on what we say and what we do. Do you know what I'm saying? Men don't need to take as much precaution as we do.
Okay, so women have to take more precaution, but they take up less space because men take up more space. Isabella, have you got any views on this?
I
think you have to take more precaution before you approach. Like,
I feel like in public, especially, men are more respected. You know, and also like, especially if you're like taller or like just a bigger person in general. Like as a man, you are more intimidating, and so people would, stand by and like, back up if you wanted to step up or something, rather than me if I'm like a smaller person compared to, or like a bigger person, then it's less likely that I'd win a fight.
Okay, so the physical size also matters. I mean, do you find, like, how do you feel about men being, or people being taller than you? Do you feel intimidated by them, or you feel alright?
No, because let's just say it's a very tall person. I'm my height, so I don't care about their height.
But if it's about safety,
then I would hide from them.
Are they good?
Run away.
Right. Is Camden a safe place for you, like in your view?
Yeah. 50-50.
50-50, okay. What do other people think, Mikey?
I think men are much more likely to be a victim of violence from somebody they don't know. That's just a statistic. So I think it's just because men are bigger. Just because men are bigger, it doesn't mean that they're not more at risk from a violent confrontation if they do. If they do want to call someone out, I do think there's actually more risk for a man to call someone out. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it, but actually sometimes you have to be quite tactful and diplomatic to call. I'm a believer of calling someone out, but you have to do it in a way that's non-confrontational, that's not going to lead to a violent situation.
So would you then send a woman or a child to kind of do the confronting? Just instrumentalize. Like, what do you think about this, Miriam? I mean, is this true? Do you agree they have to be diplomatic when you challenge someone, or you just tell them like, this is not on? How do you feel?
Just tell them that it's not on.
Not on, and you're not scared about any consequences? You're not intimidated?
Honestly, no.
No. Okay. What gives you that kind of strength? Where does your confidence come from? Because I would give it a... Oh no, that was this. There you go.
Because if I don't win, then I'll get my brothers to go fight them.
Okay, so you've got backup. Perfect. Okay, Mikey, do you have any brothers? Maybe that's what we need to do. Get some brothers. Thank you very much for this. Yes.
I will say that I would not go into a situation and be like, I mean, because Marion has an older brother. Yeah. Right, but I have a younger brother, and he is taller than me. He is a lot bigger than me. But if I was in a physical altercation, I wouldn't be like, "Oh yeah, come help me out." Like I had someone that I would fight with, right? But I also think about going back to men and women needing to be like fearful of strangers. I think that women are automatically like I wouldn't say trained, but yeah, trained to be more wary when they're in social situations. Like for the longest time, I used to carry my keys around my fingers. I would ask, like, Hannah's my neighbor, and I'd be like, oh yeah, if I'm going to the Sainsbury's and it's past 9, I'd be like, oh, can you come with me? Like, it's just about keeping safe and being hyper vigilant 24/7.
Okay, so there's no rest for women. They have to stay hyper vigilant, unless obviously you've got brothers, and they can go and mess up the person that really just, you know. Timna?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think it's kind of sometimes kind of sad that men even don't know that we find ourselves in these situations, which is kind of weird, because sometimes you hear like, yeah, why wouldn't you go like in that street during the night? Yeah, because there's situations in which I don't want to find myself. But I think someone was saying about like how women behave, and I think I identify as a woman. I don't have any brothers, and I think we're just also trained as a woman to please others and to. I think I've never learned in my entire life or from my parents how to say no, and I think these are the things for women to learn, and where I would also say like, okay, let's teach them to others, say no.
All right, so this is a big question. Do women actually know how to say no? Do you know how to say no? Do you understand what she's saying?
Yeah.
Okay, what were you going to say earlier, because you had your hand up?
I would say that I have an older brother, and I'm the youngest child in my family, and she's my older sister. So I would say if someone says anything to you, I wouldn't talk to them. I would walk away and then get my brother.
Okay, has your brother ever said, okay, mate, I'm not going to talk to you, my sister's going to go and sort you out? Because literally,
No, I would literally...
Does it work the other way?
No, I would walk away. Like,
okay.
Completely just walk away.
So do we need confrontation anyway?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, great. Well, people, stop being confrontational. Just chill out. Thank you very much. Okay, Ellen?
You know what? I was thinking about, like, yes and no as a cultural thing, because sometimes I feel like maybe English people don't really say no. They kind of, like, make up a story when saying no. For example, I forgot what situation I was in recently, but a stranger, offered me something, and I was like, maybe not. The way I said no was just the long way of saying no, because saying no would have felt a little bit too direct, and I'm aware that, like, sometimes maybe, Englishness is like being very polite and subtly saying things. So as I walked through, I found that really interesting about like, saying no in a roundabout way rather than being direct.
So it's kind of like no, yes. Okay, is it easy? Does a lady, a woman, I'm just going to call you a woman, I hope that's okay. Back to 16th century when people were ladies and gentlemen. But is it easy, is it an English thing to say no in a very indirect way? How do you guys find it? And I'm going to come to you, Isabella. When you mean no, do you say no? Or do you say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit...
I missed the start of this conversation, sorry, what am I...
the question is, do you say no directly, or do you use excuses to say no?
What is like an English thing?
Yeah, is it an English thing? It is an English.
I noticed some of my family is Spanish, and they're much more direct in their way of communicating. And I find that my side of the family are not. They'll use a lot of kind of pleases or being indirect in the way that they speak. It might be an English thing, I don't know. Possibly.
So when you're Spanish, okay, here's a question to the table. When somebody says no directly to you, is that offensive? Does that feel like a bit like, oh?
I think it depends on the context, but ordinarily I'd rather people were like much briefer and direct and to the point when I speak to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, what's your name, by the way?
I'm Dave, and this is Ray.
Ray, nice to meet you, Ray. Have you got any views on this? When you disagree with something, do you make it clear, like, directly?
You definitely do, don't you?
She does.
Yeah, we get a big shout.
All right, well, fantastic. Thank you for joining. And also, you can just grab a seat. I'm sure we can sort you out with a seat if you just want to rest your legs. All right, loads of hands up.
Well, there's this whole meme, isn't there? Like, an English person, like, for foreigners coming to the UK, like, translating when somebody says... like at work says this needs a little bit of work on it, it means completely rewrite it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got 1 or 2 issues with this, or something like that, or like, that's an interesting point you've made there. Like, as an English person, we know that means you're full of crap. But if someone says, oh, that's an interesting point, or like,
yeah, it's a very diplomatic way of responding to people.
Okay, so is it just an English trait, the diplomacy? I mean, are there any other cultures, any kind of reference points? Isabella, I promise to come to you. Are you? I will come to you just as well.
I don't know, but I know that whenever I say no, I definitely am overly apologetic. I always say sorry, no, or no, sorry, and I know that I do that a lot. And even if it's stuff that I shouldn't be sorry for, if I make like a minor mistake, I always say, oh, sorry, or you know, if someone like shoves me, then I'll say, oh, sorry, but like, and it's not good, and I know it's not good, but it's just something that I do, like, you know, involuntarily, unconditionally, and.
Okay,
for like
sorry,
being overly apologetic.
Thank you very much. Sorry, see what I did there. Anyway, but Jackie, you were going to say something? I mean, do you find the same thing? Is it...
Well, I'm from the U.S., so it's very regional, right? So if you're in the South, you're probably going to do kind of more excuse saying like, I don't think it's a good idea. You know, Midwest is similar to that. New York's very direct no. You go up to Boston, it's very explicit no. So it depends on.
Okay, where do you fit in? What's your favorite style of saying no? Do you like pleases and like Dave and maybe?
I don't know. I was in the Marines for 9 years, so I'm pretty direct.
Direct, but explicit direct or just direct?
Just direct. Polite, but direct.
Polite, direct. Ella.
No, I was going to say, Japanese culture is a bit like that. They're very sort of like polite and they don't say like kind of indirect as well. I think I kind of prefer it, and I'm thinking maybe because the weather is cold, people need to sort of soften things up with language. You know, maybe in warmer places like you mentioned in Spain, people can be direct because it's so warm and hot and there's other things to be happy about. I don't know.
What about Boston? I mean, what's the climate there? I don't know.
You know what? It's America at the end.
Oh yeah, okay. So there's like the world affected by climate, and there's America. It's like a completely different whole thing in itself. Right. Okay. So yeah, Timna.
I'll just give you my final thought. So yeah, I'm from Austria, and people tend to be way more direct, and I love a direct no, but in a polite way. I think it's more about the rhythm of the language and tactfulness, yeah.
Okay, but do you have any tips on maybe to Isabella and maybe other people around the table? How do you, I don't know, just like stop this involuntary response of like, yeah, sorry, but oh, apologies, but you know, how do you cut that out? How do you move on from that?
I'm asking myself the question, why should I be sorry?
So does it take you a little longer to respond?
I think it took me longer, but I trained myself at home.
Okay, so train yourself at home in saying no. Okay, people, I mean, I'm very, very aware that this is like, we're coming to an end of this Talkaoke. Not just the Talkaoke, we'll carry on anyway, because until they kick us out. But the festival is finishing, so maybe we are entering into the final and maybe initial thoughts zone. Jackie, are you going as well? All right, well then please, can you give us your final thoughts? Was that it? Have I heard it already now?
Probably for now.
Okay, thank you very much for stopping by and enjoy the rest of today. So, Steve, final thought?
I've got a final thought for this lovely Talkaoke. Do you mean what you say or say what you mean? That is the question.
Okay, question to the table. Do you say what you mean or do you mean what you say? Isabella, you can give us a final thought about anything. This goes out to everyone on this table. You can give us your thought about anything that was said on the table or something brand new. Just throw it in there, I don't know. But we are finishing.
I don't know. I just say it was really nice hearing everyone's opinions on different topics and seeing how different people's perspectives, how different people think on certain situations. That was really refreshing to hear.
And were there any kind of things that you thought, oh, it never occurred to me before, or anything new, anything interesting that stood out in particular?
Definitely the two women that were sitting there, the lady with our fashionistas. I loved how confident she was in all her answers, how she answered very directly, and how, you know, she was like, yes, I'm good looking, and yes, I have a perfect body, and it was like really inspiring, I guess.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Isabella. You've been great on the table as well. Yes, Miriam, please, your final thought. Could be absolutely anything at all.
Going back to what he said about the women's planning thing, personally, speaking for I think everyone, I don't think that's a thing, because if we're being for real, like men are like women, basically, people think men are smarter than women. So then so it can't be a thing for women to be explaining to a man, because people already think men are smarter than women anyway. So like, it's not really a thing. So like,
okay, thank you very much. So men, women, can you just chill out? I'm going to abbreviate it to that. Thank you very much. I hope you tell your brothers that this is a good talk show. They're not going to come round and sort us out. Megan.
I agree with you. I think that's the only thing what really caught my eye. You know, yeah, that's the only thing really.
Do you want to develop it a bit more?
She said it perfectly, yeah.
We're talking about feminism, we're talking about, a lot of the chat when the mayor was here, we're talking about equality and moving towards equality. How important is things like mansplaining, womansplaining? Is that what it's all about? Is it about other stuff? Where do you stand? You're a young person living in Camden. How are we going to push this forward?
Okay, I'm just going to reverse the final thoughts and go back to you.
I just want to say, like, his example was dishwashing, so I think that says a lot already. So that's my point.
Okay, so dishwashing, the clue is there. Open your eyes, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel about it. It's just like I just know it just doesn't exist. Like, we already live in a patriarchal society. How can that be a thing? Do you get me?
Okay, so maybe that just needs to continue changing until it's like eradicated. Well, this is a question maybe Elam and other people to whom I will come. Maybe the new generation will have some views. Elam, any final thoughts from yourself?
I enjoy the conversation about, who are the local heroes, because who is Clarence, and maybe we need to start renaming some of these estates with like people who are alive now and relevant to today. What about some maybe teenagers who are doing some great things? Do you know what I mean? So there you go. That's what I thought was really interesting in that conversation.
Okay, local heroes, and let's rename the trees after maybe some great teenagers, so they will see the tree grow. Right. Final thoughts from yourself. It could be about absolutely anything. What did you like?
I don't know. I had a fun day. I had a fun day. Yeah.
What made it a fun day? What were the things that kind of made it? Oh, it's a good day actually.
Probably this.
Yeah, you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, have you got any kind of thoughts that you're going to come away with and think about? Do you feel like, have you learned?
What have I learned?
Do you feel like you understand men and women more? That kind of, or capitalism? I think that was also the patriarchy.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say that.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay, give her a. Not that one. It's just I can't see what these are anymore because they're rubbed out. Yes.
So final thoughts?
Yes.
So I think it was just really interesting hearing about how men and women view the patriarchy differently, and how men think that women may sort of play a similar or opposing role to how, many young women or women in general view men and their role in society. Yeah.
Okay, so different definitions and explanations, mansplanations and womansplanations of patriarchy.
Yeah, and I think maybe like a lot of the time it's sort of put out as like men are the enemy, or sometimes for women for men it's like women are the enemy, and like really we're both losing out here. So maybe we should figure out how we can speak about it better and set it up better, so these conversations can be like more opening everything up.
Or maybe more round like this or something. But okay, right, so thank you very much. You've contributed a lot. I really appreciate that. Mikey, final thoughts?
I thought it was an interesting conversation, but I have got some issues with it.
Was that some kind of...
That's a recap. No, this is a recap to the thing about what British people saying they don't... Instead of saying they don't like it, they say it's interesting. Anyway, I think my comment is that men and women are, sometimes unwitting instruments of the patriarchy. I remember doing a Talkaoke, and I was actually the only man there because it was a women's network, and they were all saying how we are forced to wear. When we go out into the professional world, we are forced, into the world, we're forced to wear things that make us look good. And, that is a kind of stifling of our expression, because the way we wear, what we wear as women is kind of predetermined. But to be honest, I don't really agree with that. I think women very much decide what they want to wear, and they're the ones that value, that actually judge other women for wearing things that they don't like. I don't think men care at all.
Okay, so we are kind of closing down this session. Hopefully it's not because of what you said, Mikey, about that. And any final thoughts for you, David?
So I don't agree with Mikey about women's fashion isn't imposed on them. My girlfriend, who I live with, I do see the impact of advertising on her self-esteem, what she chooses to wear, and I have to have conversations with her to kind of help her with her confidence about not worrying about that stuff, and she has to do the same with me. I thought the point you made, sorry I don't know your name, was really interesting about viewing the patriarchy as something that impacts men as well as women, because actually that way you make it less oppositional. If men realise that they're impacted by it, then they have a stake in it, and that would be much healthier. There was a point made by somebody who's sitting there that's gone now about feminism, which I've now got a much bigger vested interest in because I've got a daughter. Like I took her to watch the women's final last week, and because I like football, but also because I kind of want her to be like involved in something that's positive for women, that reinforces women should be involved in sport. What was the other thing I was thinking? I think that was it really. I wish I'd been here a bit earlier. I was late to the party. This was a really interesting conversation.
Listen, we pop up here, there and everywhere. We sometimes do football stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, don't pigeonhole me though about football. Like I've got other things to talk about.
I was pigeonholing her. I think she's completely into female football now. So that's it. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Hey guys, sorry, but we need to wrap up now. The event is over, so please, thank you so much for coming. So see you guys later.
Thank you, everybody. We will finish our final thoughts here on the Talkaoke table, but this event is coming to an end. And thank you so much, you two, for getting involved. Max, any thoughts? You're gonna say anything? You're gonna?
No, it's brilliant. I think just the last thing about. Men and women aren't in opposition in this. You does need to come together there because everyone needs to implement it because it is so all-encompassing. That's all I'll say.
Okay, thank you, Max. Elam, you've had your final thought. I will not have a final thought because...
Let's have a huge round of applause for Margot in the middle and Elam in the middle, and thanks to everyone that's taken part today on Talkaoke and in the wider festival, because it's been a fantastic day. If you want to see this all over again, you can see it on our website or on YouTube, and you can relive this experience again and again and again, and we will find out how to smash the patriarchy. Eventually, finally, we will do it.
Tune in, and Ray is going to lead it.
But everyone is making away.
And now this event is over. Time to go home. Thank you everyone for coming. This is over now. Thank you everyone. Lovely to see everyone here today. It's been a lovely, lovely day. The sun has shined on us, and now it's over. Sorry guys. See you again next time.